Welcome into the MPW Digital Postgame Show presented by Walk-Ons, Sports Bistreaux. I'm Neal. That's Chase. You probably know us by now. Ole Miss loses at Alabama 42-21. The game was not that close. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll talk about we'll talk to Brian Rippee, probably Brian first because Jeffrey's show goes into the 6 o'clock hour.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk to Brian first probably, then we'll talk to Jeffrey, and then we'll take some calls, which will be interesting, on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline.
How long before I should tell him to be prepared?
Probably here pretty quick.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think?
5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, I want to tell you about Walk-Ons. Walk-On Sports Bistreaux puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, and voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salad. Quality, fresh ingredients you can't help but crave. Coming soon in November, about a month from now. Walk-On's Sports Bistreaux, more than a restaurant, 1737B University Avenue in Oxford. They're open in Ridgeland, by the way. They just opened this week. This is the first full weekend. They had a soft open last week. This is the real thing this weekend at if you're in the Jackson area and you want to watch Kentucky, Florida. They're in the second quarter, 7-7 in Lexington. Auburn and LSU, the late game tonight. That game gets started at 8. So you can watch that at Walk-Ons, 720 Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. I was there a week ago. Fantastic spot. Lots of TVs. Food is fantastic. Great service. The whole deal. 720 Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. Chase, how are you?
Oh, I'm lovely. I say we have a Mizzou fan with us today. He's had a rough day now, hanging out with other people that have had somewhat of a rough day as well. So good to see you, Adam. Yeah, you know, I mean, you and I were just talking about it. I mean, almost one possession away from covering the football game right there. No, but seriously. This game was decided on both lines of scrimmage. Observations are up on the message board, rebelgraphic.com, linked out front as well. Neal's column is up. But both sides of the line of scrimmage is where this game was decided. Alabama was able to run the ball at will. Brian Robinson Jr., coming off a rest week last week, looked incredible. He scored 4 times. Ole Miss had no answer for him, and that allowed Bryce Young to do enough. I was impressed with Young's footwork, his decision-making for the most part. Nothing overly blew me away. And then on the other side, Alabama's defensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. Ole Miss had very little chance to set up running the ball effectively. They had very little chance to give Corral time to do much at all down the field. That's where it was decided. I thought the B storyline of this was Lane. I wrote this. I thought he was too amped up before the game and early.
Yeah.
I didn't hate some of the midfield 4th down calls. And look, before I go into this, it was not going to change the outcome of the game. Alabama was the better team, and because of the lines of scrimmage, the outcome was decided. However, in saying that,
yeah, for sure,
3-0 felt like a win a little there to settle things. I felt like Ole Miss needed to settle things a little bit early on. So even a field goal on that 4th and 1.
Well, apply some pressure
at that point. Yeah, I mean, you scored. You took advantage of it. You did something. I think that was it. And then after that, I likened it to the baseball player who is swinging out of his shoes and trying to hit the 8-run home run to get everything back at one time. After that, it started snowballing because of what had happened. If there was a time of the game where Ole Miss at least stays in it a little longer, again, they're not going to win, but it was a field goal in the first possession, and then on that second one, when he goes for 4th down right after the missed hit out of bounds, on that whole little 2-3 play segment, if they just punt or get the first down and hold the ball, there's at least a chance to go and kind of take a breath and let the game play out a little bit. It's just 7-0, and Alabama has it on the 10 or the 15 or the 20.
But you hand them 3 short fields, 2 on 4th downs, and one on a turnover. By the way, thanks to Gulf Coast Reb. He says, I know y'all don't want to be here, neither do I. Kiffin put his feelings into the first half, should have kicked a field goal and punted. Still on the lane train, got out-athleted. Thanks, guys. That's a pretty solid summary. Gulf Coast has a future in column writing.
Those were the main things as I kind of close up. I mean, I thought Matt played reasonably well, frankly, given the time that he had to throw the football, given the fact that he had no running game to speak of. I didn't look at the final numbers, but Ole Miss was averaging 1.8 yards per carry when I was writing my notes. 1.8.
Yeah.
So because of that, you had zero ability.
First half, it was 0.9.
Yeah. So either way.
I mean, do the math. That won't work.
You can't run the ball. All the pressure's on him in his first road environment. A couple balls were dropped. I mean, they were starting the second half. Braylon Sanders drops what would have been a 40, 50-yard touchdown pass, something like that, wherever it was. Matt ends up completing 80% of his passes for, I think, right at 200 yards, doesn't throw a pick. I thought he was good, frankly. I went into the game thinking he was the better quarterback, and I left the game thinking Matt's still the better quarterback. He just didn't have the better team around him. I mean, It is what it is. He didn't have Brian Robinson Jr. creating those type of holes up front.
No, in fact, in the first half, his running backs were – okay, look, so there's two things. They don't have that – and maybe it's Connor. Why they don't use Connor more, I don't know. But it's not Ely. Ely right now has not established himself as a tackle-to-tackle back. And then you pointed this out in the Louisville game. Credit to you. You've been consistent with it. Throw out Austin Peay because that doesn't count, and I don't care. They've had a hard time tackle-to-tackle getting, for lack of a better word, Chase, vertical push at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
Gashing anybody. Yeah, they've been able to do some fancy stuff with athletes. They have a scheme that's difficult to prepare for. And then when an opposing team would fall behind, like they all did, well, they got out of it, what they were trying to do, and then you started scoring a bunch of points, and then it's like, hey, it's a party in the SIP. Woo! Well, today it wasn't that way. Today, Alabama, to me, the first drive for Alabama is like, whoa. Hello, everyone. This 3-2-6 thingy, if you're going to stay in it, well, you got to tackle better than that. And if you're going to stay in that, you got to find ways to get pressure on the quarterback.
They control the clock.
Yeah, it was 28-zip at the half. And I'm going to find some stats.
From the half?
Well, I had the half stats because I basically wrote my column about the entire first half. But I'm gonna find the
and the other thing here too is, look, losing to Alabama is not derailing anything,
of course not
whatsoever. Ole Miss, though, to me, has a humongous game next week. I think it's the biggest game from a momentum standpoint in a really long time that's winnable. Arkansas back at home. Arkansas, who is going to try to do everything Alabama did, except isn't going to do it as well. However, at the same time, they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to use the quarterback a lot to run the ball. They're going to drop 8. Matt's going to have those same demons as last year to go win a football game against the same personnel. And if you win, you're cool. You're 4-1. You're right where you hope to be. Everything's fine leading into the rest of October.
Well, we said get to 5-1 at the turn.
Yeah, however you're going to do that. And this is the way to do it. On the flip side, a loss to Arkansas, you're 3-2, 0-2 in the league, and at least the perception or the result that Arkansas is ahead of you in trajectory a little bit at that point, whether the ceiling is whatever it is. So I don't know. I feel like from a program and mental standpoint, they haven't played a game like next week in a long time that is a little bit of a prove it in a lot of ways for the Rebels.
So here are the stats. Matt Corral, 21 for 29, 213 yards and a TD, no interceptions. Matt for the season now, 10 TDs, no picks. Bryce Young was 20 of 26, 241 yards, 2 TDs, and a pick.
Okay.
Bryce Young had all the time in the world to throw the football. He got pressured a little bit at one point in the third quarter. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing the ball, Henry Parrish, 11 carries, 47 yards. Jerry Neely, 9 carries for 16 yards. He was completely ineffective. Snoop Connor, 4 carries for 12 yards. Matt Corral, 10 for 3 yards. On the other side, Brian Robinson Jr. had 36 carries for 171 yards, 4 TDs. Jace McClellan went 6 times for 28 yards before he got hurt. Roydell Williams carried 3 times for 15 yards. Bryce Young, 5 carries minus 4 yards. Ole Miss's leading receiver today, if you told me this before the day, I'd have said, uh-oh, bad day. Probably can't even guess.
Chase Rogers. I wrote this.
Oh, well, you win.
Yeah.
3 receptions, 53 yards. They didn't have a deep threat at all. Frankly, Braylon Sanders dropped the deep ball.
They only threw one ball, I think, over 10 yards in the air in the first half, and it was somebody ran the wrong route. It was a miscommunication that went over everybody's head.
Frankly, for me, looking into next week, if I'm Ole Miss, it's the one thing that really concerns me right now is the inability to put any kind of a deep thing together against Alabama, because you know what Odom's going to do. And Arkansas's got 3 guys up front that can rush the quarterback. So it's going to be a weird game. I mean, I still think Ole Miss wins it, but they've got to get more physical at the line of scrimmage. If they're planning to win it comfortably. Let's put it this way: if they're planning to beat Arkansas with any degree of comfort, they're going to have to get more physical tackle to tackle, or else it's not going to happen like that, because you're not going to out-cute them. Because what did Georgia do today? Georgia lined up and did what Alabama did in the first half. Georgia lined up and said, we're the best team in the country. I always talk about lines of scrimmage, and I did it in the Ole Miss game too. So for both teams, it should be, for both Ole Miss and Arkansas today, it should be very, very humbling and sobering. You got your ass kicked at the line of scrimmage in the first part of the game. I mean, just Arkansas got steamrolled, just punished. Was what it was. And, and they had a back. I don't have their stats in front of me, but they had a back go for about 200. And could have gone
Georgia?
I think so. Could have gone for whatever he wanted to go for. And Georgia's really good up front. In a way that Ole Miss isn't good up front. You now know what Arkansas is going to do. I mean, this isn't going to be – we don't have to spend all week going, hey, what do you think the game plan will be? No, they're going to run it right at you until you stop it. But I don't know. That's enough stats. Stat it to death. I mean, the team stats, if you're interested. Alabama had 451 yards of offense. Ole Miss had 291. If I told you that before the day, you'd have said, uh-oh, not good. Alabama rushes for 210 yards. Ole Miss rushes for 78. Ole Miss penalized 7 times for 55 yards. Alabama penalized 5 times for 52. Both teams had 1 turnover each. Alabama possessed the football. Here's a big stat. 37 minutes and 59 seconds. So 1 second shy of 38 minutes of possession. That's tough. And that has to be addressed. Not just this season, but program-wise moving forward. You can't expect to win with 22 minutes of possession on a consistent level against physical teams in this league.
It makes it where you have to be so efficient. You have to make the most of every single possession, because it's just, I mean, especially on teams like this that can hold the ball and get things done. I mean, it's
yes. So there's your stat.
Yeah. I fully expect the Arkansas game to be at 11 a.m.
It will absolutely be at 11 a.m.
Yeah, Georgia and Auburn will be at 2:30.
Yep.
Alabama A&M's at like 7.
It's a 7 o'clock CBS game.
And then 11 o'clock for the Hogs and Rebels. You call Brian?
Oh, yeah, sure. And while you start talking to Brian, I'll load
okay.
Walker's notebook. He just sent it to me. Let's see.
Okay.
Send me that number again. I know you've sent it to me, but I didn't save it. Opening line of the Arkansas game. Ole Miss minus 6.5.
Okay. Yeah.
That about right?
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
No, it's not a pick 'em. Ole Miss will be favored.
At home. Yeah.
Arkansas was bad today. Arkansas got exposed as super duper one-dimensional.
Yeah. They ran into a much, 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 much better version of themselves today. That's a great way of putting it. I mean, the high rent district of what they are as a team today.
Yeah.
Because Georgia did. I mean, Georgia went, by God, we're just coming at you. I mean, it's.
Yeah, once Georgia blocked the punt, it was like, whoa.
Well, I mean, the first drive went right down the field, and then they get Arkansas in 3rd and 24 or something on the first series, and
the moment was really big for Arkansas, and it showed in the first quarter. They lost the game. Not that there's not a scenario where they beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. They could play 10 times and it would be 10 beatings.
Yeah.
But their first 8 minutes of the first quarter was revelatory of just how new they were to that moment. But yeah, 6.5 sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Let's see. I'm about to get Brian on. Calling Brian Rippee. Hopefully he will answer. There he is.
What's up?
Hey, you all right? You good?
Yes.
Okay. Where you at?
I'm at a wedding in St. Simon's Island,
Oh,
Georgia.
I forgot you were
standing
doing
on a
that.
beach
That's
right now, walking away from the band.
Yeah, what is that? It sounds like elevator music or like carousel music.
No, it was like
I think this
Bahama.
is kind of the tune-up to the actual wedding band. It's like nice little ceremony outside type of thing.
So did you have TVs?
Yeah, a lot of elevator music so far.
Did you have TVs? What are we doing here? What was the setup? I mean, you had a destination wedding on the day of Ole Miss in Alabama.
I did. Hope the groom and bride don't end up listening to this, but I was actually at the hotel until the game ended. Then I just kind of ripped to the reception.
So you went to a destination wedding and skipped the wedding.
That is correct, but I feel like I made a pretty solid effort just getting down here. I've never even been to this part of Georgia, so I feel like my presence was enough for most of the weekend.
That is a power move right there. I like that a lot.
Well, I mean, you guys like letting me come on this after. That kind of gave me a free out because I feel like it would just be way more of an asshole move if I was just like, no, I'm going to watch. I don't have any obligations, but I'll just watch.
Okay, fair enough. So we all watched the same game here. How much of this was just Alabama Ole Miss today, and how much of this do you feel like is pause for Ole Miss as they go into a program momentum defining game against Arkansas next weekend?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. I don't know. I think it was just a lot of Alabama, but I think some of the weaknesses that maybe was not highlighted enough on this Ole Miss team were kind of shown today, right? They were 72nd in the FBS entering the game on third down, 5 of 14 today, and of course that put them in a lot of fourth down situations, so it's cost them the game. And then, the offensive line, it kind of had some shaky moments at times. I know Kiffin kind of shoved Pro Football Focus in a locker a couple weeks ago. And I guess he kind of had a point because they got dominated today. And once they were not able to block, everything else just seemed to be kind of moot.
What did you think of Corral today?
I thought he was fine for the most part. I honestly, I had a hard time evaluating him because he had no time to do a whole lot. So, when he did have time, he seemed to look okay. There were a couple of uncharacteristic throws that looked off target, but I thought he was, efficient enough running the ball. Sometimes he held it a little too long, but I had trouble evaluating him given the amount of pressure he faced on every single play.
I can't really decide. I mean, Ole Miss, they know that there's no way they can stay in this 3-2-6 when they're getting gashed. They did today pretty much the entire game. I didn't see them go to a 4th run. I'll check. Speaking of, I'll check Pro Football Focus for some alignment stuff as the week goes on. But you know what Arkansas is going to do. They're going to run right at them. Do they have the personnel? What's your opinion? I mean, do they try to get out of this thing, or do they just have to tackle better and try to refine the 3-2-6 as well as possible? Because I don't know that thing works against I-formation teams or whatever that just line up and come at you.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you're exactly right because I was actually looking for that as well. And other than goal line, I don't think they showed anything else but a 3-2-6. And I think you probably got your answer in the fact that they stuck with it, right? I mean, don't you figure if they had the personnel and felt comfortable enough doing something else, they would have at least had that in their back pocket or at least tried it at some point in the game because they're smart enough to know that was potentially going to be problematic with the way Alabama runs the ball. And credit to Alabama, I thought they had a really good game plan. That's exactly what they did. They kind of went, a little bit of like pre-Lane Kiffin. That looked like Alabama, 2009 to 2013-ish today or whenever it was Kiffin got hired. So I don't know. I don't think who else are you putting out there? Like, do they have the depth on the defensive line to run something like that? They've got to do something differently, like you mentioned, but I don't know if they have the personnel to do it successfully.
No, I mean, if anything, they've got a couple secondary guys that maybe you walk up and you try to put more guys in the box. You turn one of those 6 defensive backs into a linebacker or something, but that's harder to do unless Jake Springer gets healthy faster than maybe is expected because, if anything, maybe he regressed during the bye week. Lane acted like they did not get any healthier at all. Then what happened with Mingo happened. I thought Jaden Jackson was fine today. That was probably the best way to put it. I did think they missed Mingo's physicality, especially with a secondary that's so physical for Alabama, assuming Mingo is out for a while, and that's a whole other story for another time. But at the moment, what do you feel like they're missing there? I mean, how much of a hindrance is that for this offense?
I think it could potentially be pretty significant. I think you're exactly right. I think they struggled to create separation, and there were a couple of times – I actually think one of them was Jaden Jackson, where Corral threw kind of the 9-yard back shoulder deal. And that's a play you see Mingo make a decent bit of the time, and he just was not able to create any sort of separation or make much of a competitive attempt to catch the ball. So like those kind of plays were where I figured they missed Mingo. But I do think it's significant. I mean, Neal, I think in something he wrote recently that I read pointed that out, that they would love to have a third, consistent third or fourth receiver emerge, because after those top three guys, like, they hadn't gotten much from anyone else. So I think it's certainly significant. I mean, I don't know if they're good enough to kind of just roll out with Drummond and Brew and Sanders and be fine. I think they're going to need one of these younger guys to step up and play better. And honestly, I guess, is the Plumlee experiment over, right? Like, if you were ever going to use him, it was today. Is that like ship sailed? I was kind of surprised by that.
He only played kickoff return.
I didn't see him on the field from scrimmage.
I didn't notice. Not one time.
Yeah.
I know he's not an ideal option, of course, as like an outside receiver, but if you were going to move Drummond outside, like, I don't know. I figured if there's a day to use Plumlee, today would be it. So I guess that kind of tells you all you need to know about kind of how that's going.
I don't think they wanted to take Drummond out of his A1 place to try to, because in some ways I think they probably thought you were getting weaker at two positions instead of one. You know what I mean? So they had a hard time kind of figuring out what to do there. Where do you put who? Where do you put this guy? Where do you do whatever? So I'm not really sure what the plan was there. I mean, it was kind of like how they split back carries. You know, Ely got the ball a couple times in that first series. He was the guy that had the ball on the fourth and goal, or the fourth down that they didn't get, that swung the momentum the first time when Alabama took the ball down and scored to go up 7-0. And from that point, I mean, Parrish ends up with 11 carries. Snoop only playing in the second half is beginning to baffle me a little bit. I am wondering, given today, I thought Ely played a little soft. I'm curious if they are switching up, and maybe if running back carries are starting to move away from Jerrion, because we can talk about, hey, the game plan and saving him. His snap counts are incredibly low for the season. Frankly, Jerrion Ely's just not playing much, and that's the whole story right now.
It is fascinating, and this is something that Weldon pointed out on one of the podcasts not too long ago. I think it was right before the season, about if there's some weaknesses with Ely, it's running and staying on balance through contact and sometimes shying away from contact, which made it all the more puzzling that they used him particularly at that first short yardage situation on 4th and 1 down by the 5. But I think you kind of saw it on the run. Look, I mean, as someone who's 5'6" and like 140 pounds, I feel sort of silly saying this because the gentleman that tackled him seemed pretty large. But as soon as he got hit on that play, he just fell immediately like down and backwards. There wasn't much of a lunge or a push forward at all. And I thought that kind of maybe encapsulated a little bit what Weldon was talking about by running through contact and staying on balance. If there's a guy you're going to use there, is it not Snoop Connor? Like that's kind of his strength and skill set, his ability to do exactly the opposite of what we just talked about with Ely, kind of stay on balance. And
frankly,
how many times have you seen him hit someone and kind of just keep going and almost doesn't faze him? It was puzzling to me as well.
Frankly, at this point, there's three guys I'd rather carry the ball than Ely in a moment like that. Connor, Parrish, and Corral.
Agreed.
I don't know. I mean, look, he probably gets hit if he keeps it, but Corral technically got over the line to gain on that play.
He would have.
Which is an important problem, right? Because I know it's weird to say the offense worked at any point today, but when they did run the ball with intermediate success, the offense actually flowed fine. It was when they got in the 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9 range or worse after an unproductive run is when things really got out of control. And then, of course, the 8 penalties or whatever they finished with was not great as well.
So what's your early take on next week?
I think Ole Miss wins. It'll be a good test, I think, of just how good they are in comparison to this second class in the SEC, because Arkansas is pretty limited offensively. And I guess today's not the greatest example. I mean, Georgia has a pretty damn good defense, but Arkansas really wasn't competitive for a lot of that game on offense. So, if you have improved defensively, that's the kind of game you hope to hold them under around 20, 24 points or so, and let your offense go to work and, win that like 35-24 or something like that. If KJ Jefferson and that limited offense come in and run the ball successfully and put up 30-plus points, then you're probably reevaluating where exactly this team is versus what you thought they were 2-3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, but look, the defense is going to get tested. I mean, the defense is going to get. I mean, you don't have to be particularly football savvy to have an idea of what Arkansas's plan is going to be. It's going to be to eat clock, keep Corral off the field, and run it between the tackles. And it's going to be to use Jefferson as a runner. It's going to be to do all of those things. I mean, Ole Miss cannot do defensively because it does not have the personnel. It does not have the defensive line. It does not have the linebackers. They cannot do defensively to Arkansas what Georgia did. And it's why I'm so interested to see schematically Ole Miss kind of stubbornly stuck in it, and it might be, like you said, it might be because they just don't have anybody to stick in there. But schematically, Alabama said in the part of the game that mattered. Look, we can talk about the second half till we're blue in the face, but at 35-7, the game was completely over.
I agree. And
At
you talk
that
about
point,
hitting on the personnel aspect
yeah.
of it. Did you see much from either of the JUCO defensive linemen today? It seems like them not being contributors.
Well,
I'm no
that's
schematic expert, but that seems to be part of the reason why they can't get out of it, right? Who else are you putting in there defensive line-wise? I can't even think of the names or bodies.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they can't go to 4, because they only have 4 defensive linemen they really trust playing all the time. I guess 5 if you count literally everybody. But if you're talking about anybody who can play either of those techniques inside, you're talking about Katie Hill, Bivens, Tisdale, I guess, and then Gordon and Iton. I mean, that's it. So if you don't have Gordon and Iton, you don't even have enough to go, 4 in the middle without moving those linebackers down into true ends, and then you got a whole other
Which is what makes next week interesting.
Yeah.
If they can line up and go, hey, we're going to be big and physical, and we're going to run it right at you, and we're going to see if you can stop it. And if you start to cheat too much on the back end, we're going to do some play action and break Burks on a route, or we're going to do some sort of a swing or something. Look, don't get lost in the Arkansas-Georgia game. Arkansas got exposed, yes. But there's a flip side to that. Ole Miss can't do to them what Georgia did, because Ole Miss obviously doesn't have Georgia's personnel. Mm-hmm. That Georgia defense is amazing. It rips your soul out like at the very beginning and puts it on the ground and just starts stomping on it.
And that's as good as the offenses are in 2021. I mean, you in your head you go, my God, if that Georgia defense was like a 2006, 2007 defense or something. You're talking about like all-time greatest, whatever. I mean, this is insane.
I mean, look, if you're Sam Pittman, you tell your team, hey, that's the best team you're going to play all year.
Yeah.
Don't even think about Alabama. Don't worry about it, guys. Let's focus on the next few.
We have 10 games.
Yeah. And he ain't wrong. I mean, you and I talked about this third quarter, Brian. I'm curious to get your thoughts. I mean, I've seen so far one team that can beat Alabama, and I've seen one team that can beat Georgia, and they're each other, and they'll play each other.
Yeah, I honestly don't have a whole lot to add to that. I mean, there's not even really a third or fourth candidate to contend with it. Would it stun me if Florida beat Georgia and Jacksonville? I would guess no, because they are competent. I mean, they're talented pretty much across the board, except for they seem somewhat held back by their quarterback, even though Emory Jones played pretty well against Alabama for 2.5 quarters or so. But I agree. The only other one I could even offer is Florida. And, they've already played Alabama and didn't quite get it done. I could see them picking off Georgia. But for the most part, I agree. I don't think there's even anyone else. The other team in the conversation where I guess A&M and Ole Miss, and I don't give A&M much of a chance next week, and you kind of saw it out today with Ole Miss. The one thing, though, that y'all said there in the middle that actually kind of made me think a little bit, talk about, Ole Miss getting gashed against the run. Arkansas has also got a pretty good defensive line, and if they could generate consistent pressure and force Ole Miss to be one-dimensional throwing, it's a big week for the offensive line as well, is it not?
There's
because
no
they gash
doubt.
you in both trenches.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. You got to get better up front in this league. I mean, if you're going to forget Arkansas for a minute, let's just play it and go, hey, you're going to beat Arkansas. Okay, great. When you play LSU, when you play Auburn, when you play Texas A&M's defense, you simply have to establish more of a presence up front. You've got to be more physical. You've got to win more of those battles than they won today. They were behind the sticks a lot today because of their inability to run. They had 0.9 yards per carry in the first half. 0.9.
That's not great. And it puts the defense in bad spots because as bad as they were today, I believe 3 of the 4 touchdown drives in the first half started in plus territory for Alabama.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, it was not Kiffin's best day. And his quote was, you live by analytics, you die by analytics.
That felt like emotion more than analytics.
That's what I thought, too. At the end of that interview, he goes, hey, get your popcorn ready.
Throws the mic.
Yeah, mic drop. He had his moment. He had his whole thing planned out, and, boy, it backfired in a big way. I mean, if that day doesn't humble Lane Kiffin a little bit, nothing does.
Well said. You don't really see that from him from any other opponent either. I mean, this clearly – if there was ever any debate about how often he thinks about this game, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, it's every day.
Yeah, Bama's in his head. There's 100%.
And Matt Corral has to be careful next week not to have a repeat performance of this, which is, everyone's talked about Arkansas. I'm going to go get them. I'm going to throw for 6 touchdowns on the first drive. Hold up. Take your time. But look, you got to let it go. I mean, this applies to both teams. I mean, both Arkansas and Ole Miss next week. It's going to be an 11 a.m. game. You're not going to have the energy from this that you had this week. It's going to be 11 a.m. and the winner's fine, and the loser, it's kind of humbling.
Yeah, expectations fall back down into a different category at that point. What's the drink of choice? We'll let you go, Brian. What are we going with at the reception?
So I'd been here about 15 minutes before you guys called, and I was just handed this Miller Lite. So I guess that's it for now, but I'm probably going to peruse the bar a little bit more after I kind of choke this.
Do
one
we have
down,
some fruity, stiff concoctions? Yeah,
but maybe we'll go. I don't know. It looked like there was some sort of good vodka drink they had up there, so I might dive into that a little bit.
Okay. Well, enjoy. Safe trip back, and we'll talk to you again.
Absolutely, y'all be good.
Is State wearing the Snow Bowl uniforms?
State's going all white.
That's Snow Bowl uniforms.
That's what they're
commemorating the A&M game
They
again.
are determined to
By God, you are a rival, and we played each other in the Independence Bowl, and we are going to focus on that.
Yep. I know we've missed a couple of Super Chats. Thanks to everybody who did Super Chat. Let's see. Oklahoma Rebel, he says, best defensive performance against Bama in 5 years. Bama has a better run game than Arky. That's true. Defense will hold Arkansas under 28. I would agree with that. The question is how much under 28? And then offense has to get the W. I would agree with that. Who else did I miss, Chase?
Look, Tennessee, Mizzou sucks, but Tennessee ran the ball pretty damn effectively today.
Webb Moore, thanks for the Super Chat. He says we basically got beat like we owed them money. I know this. Nick Saban hates Kiffin totally. Why would you leave your starters in with 28 points ahead when the rumor about the past with Saban's daughter, the stuff about the daughter is absolutely not true. I'm 100% sure of that.
Ow. Damn, that hurt.
Kenneth Morgan says, bottom line, we got exposed on the offensive line today. We also have to do something about a 3-man defensive front. Kyle Wilson says, thank you, Neal and Chase. Did I miss one? And I got Gulf Coast at the beginning. So thanks to everybody on those.
Oh, and Kyle, stuff will go in the mail on Monday. I had to go to the storage unit to get the goods, but they will be shipped out on Monday.
Gotcha.
So just a little update there. Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss will score 28 points against Arkansas or more. So if that's the cutoff, they're going to win the game. Yeah, they'll score 28 or more. Not saying they're going to score 57 or something, but yeah, I mean, I feel like they get into the 30s.
Got to possess the football a little bit more. Got to possess the football a little bit more. He hadn't thrown a pick yet. He's 10 TDs, no picks.
Oregon and Stanford are in OT. Do we have that anywhere?
Let's see. Yeah, I'll find it. What you may know a network on that?
Yeah. What is a channel for Oregon and Stanford? We have time to come back to State.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Never mind. We got it. Cincinnati beats Notre Dame today. I think Cincinnati has a legitimate playoff shot if enough chaos happens.
Cincinnati has a real shot of getting beat by 40 points in a national semifinal by Alabama or Georgia. No doubt.
You don't like Cincinnati's chances against Georgia?
No.
Not so much?
No.
They need Stanford to win a football game right here.
But they've now won against Wisconsin. Isn't that right? Indiana. I'm sorry. They beat Indiana and Notre Dame.
I mean, it gives them a shot. Markham, are you celebrating on Rocky Top today? I mean, the Vols putting up 60-plus, just wearing out the Mizzou Tigers. Y'all are back, baby.
Missouri has the worst run defense I've ever seen, and we've seen some bad run defenses. I mean, there were moments in that game today where I thought, wow, is Wesley McGriff back?
The eyes were not in the right place for Mizzou today.
It was unbelievable. Tennessee had a good plan, though. They very clearly had watched the film, and they attacked it, and attacked it, and attacked it, and attacked it, and attacked it. They did not get cute. They danced with the girl that brought them.
Well, I mean, credit to you, because too many coaches go, hey, well, I packed a lot more in the game plan. We got to get to that.
No. I meant it as a compliment. It worked, and they stuck with it.
You know, Missouri has a worse run D than Ole Miss. It's not.
Oh, it's not even close. No, not close. Not close. No.
I mean.
No, not close. Missouri has to play Georgia. Godspeed to you fellas.
The line can't get high enough.
I mean, Godspeed.
Kirby didn't take it easy on Sam today.
Well, no. I mean, Arkansas's run defense is 15 times better than Missouri's.
Yeah, no, I know. I just meant he didn't he could have won the game 24-0, 27-0.
No, they don't want to stop. They want to keep going.
Stop.
No, they wanted to make sure everybody understood just how good they are, and they are legitimate.
They get Auburn next week.
Oof. Pack a lunch.
It'll be a rough afternoon.
Actually, you better pack several lunches because their linebackers are going to steal some of your lunches. So if you want to eat, their linebackers are, and they got 2 first-round NFL defensive linemen.
N'Kobe has turned into a hell of a linebacker.
And N'Kobe's a stud, and he might not be their best linebacker.
Yeah. I think they'll hold the ball too long to score 100 on you, Adam. But yeah, it's gonna be a blowout.
I don't know if Jeffrey's available or not. You want to text him and ask?
Sure.
I know people want to talk. I'm almost nervous about the talk.
Are you?
Not really. I'm tempted to almost have one ground rule for the talk, which is, yes, the officiating is bad. It's always going to be bad. Yes, that was a late hit on Drummond. It should have been called. And
an intentional grounding. Those were the 2.
Yeah, but I don't think they enforced the intentional.
No, I meant on Alabama.
Oh, on Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. The one on Corral was kind of dumb, and then I think they waved it off.
Yeah, I think you're right. But what I won't do is say that impacted the outcome of the contest because it just didn't.
Yeah, I don't like College Game Day's chances of being in Oxford this week. I don't think that worked out.
No.
I think I'm pulling for Oregon here.
Real Gear Online says, honestly, was okay with defense. Improvement question is this: knowing Bama was going to pound, why not prepare to crowd the box? It's a great question. I don't know the answer, and it might be they just don't feel they have the personnel to do it. And why not more Matt Corral run? Because they just don't want to do that at this point.
Especially once the game got it all sideways. It's one thing to do it with 5 minutes left in the fourth when you're trying to do whatever, but
thanks to Scott Matlock, he says still a line of scrimmage game, and Ole Miss lost both sides of that today. I could not agree with that anymore. If you had to boil it down to one thing, it's right
one
there.
Sentence. That's the sentence.
Yes.
David Shaw gets on my nerves is why I'm rooting for Oregon. I don't care about either team, but for some reason David Shaw kind of bothers me. And I have a tendency to like Stanford in general, but why is Moorhead out today? Anybody in the stream have been watching that game? I saw he was not coaching for the Ducks.
You could have called that interference right there. Did Sam Williams play after leaving game early? Yes, he came back and played.
Yeah, Mac Brown had a hell of a day. He did. Punter.
Oh, I thought you meant the North Carolina coach. I was like, that's
I think they beat Duke, but no.
They did.
Louisville played with Wake. Wake won late on a field goal, maybe. I'm telling you, we were just kind of running it through with the grind the other day.
That's a touchdown.
But I think it's right. Did they win? Or did they just score?
I don't think
Who got the ball first?
I think they got it first.
Yeah, because we're not crazy celebrating. Dave Clawson truly might be the second best coach in the ACC.
Yeah,
I think the longer I think about that, the more I'm actually going on that hill.
He's a good coach. He's done a really good job.
I don't know where he goes after that or what that means, but Jeffrey's not writing back yet, so we're still waiting.
COVID protocols for Moorhead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was not aware of that. I mean, I guess if he told me to guess, that would have been my guess, but
Stanford's PAT is good, 31-24. Oregon gets a shot. It's 10-7, by the way, Florida over Kentucky.
Yeah, Florida is completely playing with its food, not playing very well tonight.
Ole Miss Cub wants me to talk about how insufferable Danielson is. I don't know. I don't pay a lot of attention to that stuff. I get why he bothers people, but he covers so many Alabama games. Chase has a really good theory on this. It's everybody has such Bama fatigue, and they win 9 out of every 10 games they play on CBS or more. And so people are sick of it. When you're up 28-0, the team that has the 28 is going to get a lot more pub than the team that has the 0.
Carolina didn't freaking cover, did they?
What was the score?
Troy.
What was the score?
23-14.
Yeah, they covered.
They did?
Yeah, the line was only like 9.5. It was 9.5.
Nine's not enough. 9.5's not enough there, bud.
It wasn't 9.5 though, was it? Let's see.
For some reason, I thought it was 9.5, and if so, those absolute bastards.
7.5.
Oh, covered.
They covered.
Okay, I apologize, Beamer.
There you go. Thank you.
A win and a cover for Shane. No, N'Kobe would not have been enough to change a game today.
No, but he'd have made a hell of a difference.
Jeffrey's still on air, so however you'd like to do this.
We'll.
What's
What's the end of this, and then we'll.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. I mean, revise your record. I don't know.
No, I mean, ask me next week. I said get to 5-1 at the turn going into LSU, and I always assumed the one would be Alabama. I picked Alabama to win. So did Chase.
Yeah.
We never went. I just couldn't go there last week.
I'm upset at myself for not factoring in Ole Miss's line of scrimmage because it is an underrated thing. They talked about it in the stream a little bit, and it's not trying to beat the kid up, but Orlando Amana hasn't played well enough.
No.
They've not been good enough in the middle to this point.
Jeremy James, who I think is going to be a really good player, he had a rough day.
He did.
What do they call this? That's not targeting.
They call it targeting?
That is not.
Jeffrey said 20 minutes.
Okay, that's not targeting. How can that be targeting?
He just ran into him, didn't he?
Yeah, his face was up. No, they got Ole Miss has to get better on both sides of the line of scrimmage, or a handful of these games that I think we've all said that's a W are going to be close.
I know they won, but what was Oklahoma's final?
I'm not sure. Hey, who do we have? Hey, who's this?
Hey, it's David from Georgia. Marine Rebel on the board.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good. I mean, you guys can. I'm probably wrong because God knows I don't have Pete DeWeese's eyes to see the game. But I just really thought that I saw Ben Brown and basically the whole right side of the offensive line got exposed today. I mean, they I don't know how many times I saw the right tackle getting shoved up into Corral's face. And we couldn't run and that kind of stuff. But besides the game, this has been really killing me. I got a phone call. This has got nothing to do with football. So you guys bear with me for just a second. I got a call, and an old Marine Corps friend of mine he just killed himself on Wednesday, and I just found out today. So for anybody out there, if you're having these thoughts, please call somebody. Please talk to somebody. Do whatever you need to do. That's not the answer. And I'm sorry to try to bring it down, guys. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're okay. Sorry about your loss.
Yeah. He was a hell of a guy. First and foremost, please, just if you're having these thoughts, talk to somebody because he was a incredible guy and taught me so much about my job in the military. And just remember that we're watching this, and it hit me more than anything else. This is just a game. It's just a game. I know we hold it all hardcore to our everything that we are, and I do too. But it's just a game.
Well, hey, listen.
I'll let you guys go on about it. But,
yeah, it's wise words, and we're very sorry for your loss.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. 4th and 8.
Yeah, down the last play here for the Ducks.
For Oregon. They did not call that targeting, by the way. They got it right.
Oh, okay.
Which is good. It's where a lot of times teams end up taking a shot right here. Go for the whole thing because, hey, who's this?
What's going on, fellas?
Who is this?
It's Jarrett.
Hey, Jarrett.
Well, so much for setting the program forward and things that are fun and exciting topics for conversation. So I have one question.
Hold on one second. Let us watch this one play right here real quick. It's 4th and 8 in the Oregon-Stanford game.
Oh, yeah, do your thing.
Rolls right. Nope.
Catch it.
He did not get a foot in. Stanford knocks off Oregon. That's that for them.
Great for Cincinnati. All right, go ahead, Jared.
Go ahead, Jarrett.
So as I watch Air Force about to go up 24-0 on Terry Wilson and the New Mexico Lobos, why should I care about watching Ole Miss football beyond maybe getting to an Access Bowl at some point?
Well, because the other team you're watching is playing the New Mexico Lobos and Terry Wilson.
Well, no. I get it's like a whole different level of competition, right? And like I totally acknowledge.
Well, I mean, okay.
that
Did you anticipate that the turnaround at Ole Miss, if indeed it happens, would occur in 22 months?
No, I didn't. But I also I kind of don't think that the turnaround will ever happen.
Well, there's no guarantees, but if you
what does turnaround mean?
But if you didn't believe,
hold on. What does turnaround mean?
Define turnaround. What does that mean?
Yeah. So like cheering for Ole Miss beyond an Access Bowl. So like I think we get an Access Bowl this year that's still very much on the table, and that's a great season. But is an SEC championship national title shot? Is that really? Like, I think what we saw today is I sent a text to a buddy of mine who's a big Georgia fan that the hopefuls in the SEC got put in their place today. And I think that, like, do anybody other than Alabama, Georgia, LSU really have a chance to contend for a title, or is it really just going to kind of be more of the same forever?
Forever's too big of a word, and it just takes time. I mean, and who knows? I mean, and look, and hey, we're going to let you go because there's so much background noise.
Yeah, I'm at a party, so
okay.
I get it.
All right, that's okay. The truth is, and hang on, caller, real quick, I'll finish this thought. The truth is, getting to an Access Bowl this year, in the event that it were to happen, is not, quote, great.
It's way ahead of schedule.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's.
Thanks, CJ, for the super chat. That's very nice of you. Really appreciate it. Hey, who do we have?
This is Rodney.
Hey, Rodney, what's up?
Well, when I seen Lane throw the headset off and said, "Get your popcorn ready," I said, "Uh-oh, could be bad." And it just seemed like he was coaching out of desperation, and it filtered down to the offense today, and especially at the first of the game. And I know going forward on fourth down is good sometimes, but sometimes you need to get that first points on the board, and I felt like that was when we didn't get that 3 or that first drive that just killed us. And I think they put our defense in bad spots today. What do y'all think?
It absolutely did.
I agree on all counts.
Yeah, 3-0. It was not going to win the game, but I do feel like it would have settled things just a touch.
Just settle down just a little bit and settle that crowd down, and we got to get more physical. Like, I agree with that on both sides. We got to get more Jimmys and Joes on the defense.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Got to have more linebackers, more guys off the edge. Absolutely.
Well, y'all, I still believe in them. I think we can beat Arkansas. Then I'm telling y'all, this Tennessee game is going to be something.
Well, and it's going to be another one where Lane's going to be super emotional about it, and he's going to have to control that and just coach a football game and not try to coach history.
He's still a little immature, but maybe he can get it. Maybe it got out of him a little bit more today because we got to kill all that stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, fellas. Y'all have a good one.
All right, Rodney.
Two things real quick, Neal, let's go to the next call, whatever you're doing. One, you think it pisses off Mizzou that Grantland Rice is from Vanderbilt, that they can't claim like the first ever sports writer for like the century? I just saw Vanderbilt putting that into a thing. They need to like run that on the Jumbotron when they play Mizzou. And two, Vandy UConn is a sneaky good uniform game. They're both doing a really good job with some uniforms right now.
Vanderbilt has the ability to have a good uniform, but sometimes they really butcher it.
You don't like when they put the Nashville skyline because they're Nashville's team on the back of their helmet?
I don't. It's trying way too hard. Hey, who's this?
It is someone backing up in a bus. Who are we talking
Hey, y'all
about?
got me?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Who's this?
This is Bagman from. I'm actually in Meridian right now.
What's up, Bagman?
We just left the game, driving back from the worst college town in America to Meridian.
What was the atmosphere like?
Well, before the game, it was kind of nervous. Like I was in the quad, you know, where their fake grove and all that. It was I don't know. It was like a silent little, you know, it wasn't what I'm from Mobile originally, and I've seen that place rocking, and it was nowhere near that.
By the way, 10-10 Mississippi State and Texas A&M early second quarter.
So I just called in to ask, is it even worth, like, if you're Arkansas, if you're Ole Miss, until you have a dominant defensive line and offensive line, is it even worth watching these games against Bama and Georgia?
Sure. I mean, it's sobering. I wrote that. I wrote the two lead words were sobering and humbling, and those are what they are. And it's a reminder that to win in this league with those teams at this level, you've got to have players of that caliber, and without them, it's really, really hard, if not impossible. But yeah, I get it. Look, I don't think super teams are good for college football. I never have, and I think there is a tremendous amount of Bama fatigue. And you see it, but you got to give them credit, man. I mean, they're a machine.
Definitely to their credit.
This is a good uniform game.
It's a good uniform game.
UConn's uniform is really nice, and that is as good a Vanderbilt look as they can put together.
The main reason I thought about it, because I was in the game tonight, and I was watching the 2015 game before, you know, last night, just getting prepped, and Fadal Brown was on that line. Robert Kondichi was on that line. Channing Ward was on that line. And there's no one on our D-line that has any chops remotely close to those guys.
No, that's fair.
That's more than fair.
That's completely fair.
More than fair. There is not a dominant defensive lineman on that team. And look, they don't have much depth at linebacker, and they don't have that one guy that can truly go sideline to sideline. And that what they don't have, and what you see when you watch Georgia, and when you watch Alabama in particular, and Arkansas doesn't have this either. And you saw that in their game against Georgia today. Is they don't have that dude off the edge who just disrupts the hell out of everything, who can also run.
Yeah, you got to have a guy that can get to the quarterback, and clearly Bryce Young was nowhere near pressured. He was so comfortable back there the whole time. The only time he did get pressure was on that down by the goal line, and he sneaked out of chance, and I forget who else was on him, but he got loose and got the first down, and that was really it from that on.
Yeah. No, Young had plenty of time. He didn't get pressured at all until the third quarter when the game was over.
I just think it's such a line dependent game in the SEC these days, and if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, and if you can't, you know, control the line of scrimmage on the offensive end, it's going to be tough for you the rest of the night.
Bagman, thanks for the call. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Yeah, UConn uses the gray accents pretty well here.
That's a hold. Bring that back.
Freaking SEC. refs screwing UConn over here today.
Hey, who do we have?
You just think Bama gets calls.
This is Glassface.
I'm sorry?
Glassface.
How
you doing?
Gotcha.
Good guys. You have several callers complain, and like I think you kind of forget quickly how far back just 22 months ago Ole Miss was. I never really thought, unless everything went right, Ole Miss wouldn't win today. Only real negative I saw from the game, you like to be more competitive just where you can recruit, but I think going forward, the biggest question I'd have for Kiffin is
just can he get impact defensive linemen and linebackers? And I mean, that's what the game shows. That's what they didn't have. I mean, the line wasn't very good, but that's not a position you're going to have a bunch of impact guys coming in.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what they have to have.
Tyrone Malone's got to be a difference maker right now. I mean, well, not now, but during his career. I mean, he's got to continue. Starting next year, he's got to be ready to go.
And then you got to go get other guys.
And they got one potential guy. You got to have more than one, though. And I don't even think they have a linebacker committed yet.
Avery makes a great point. She says, Ole Miss lost 66-3 in recent memory. Everyone needs to take a step back.
Very true.
Not wrong. You got to have, and
before the season, we talked about 8-4, 9-3, and then that's still very much on the table.
8-4 is right there. No problem at all for 8-4.
8-4 is right there.
All right. Y'all guys have a good night.
You too. Thanks for the call.
UConn was really driving until the officials threw a phantom holding call.
Oh, he was hold. He held so bad. It was obvious. I mean, it was such a egregious hold. Frankly, he should have been thrown out of the game for a hold.
I mean, even Vanderbilt runs 4-man fronts.
See, here's another one. Illegal motion, 5 yards. Repeat whatever down this is. Hey, who's this?
Hey, is this Neal and Chase?
This is. Who's this?
Hey, this is William from D.C.
Hey, William.
Hey, this is my first call, so first want to say appreciate everything y'all done. It's been great listening to y'all over the course of the last year and a half, living up in this psycho insane COVID city. But you know, I'm pretty disappointed about tonight. Got my hopes up a lot, and you know, now my hopes are kind of down. So just kind of wanted to get y'all's thought. I feel like we've got a long way to go recruiting wise. You know, we get a lot of talk about these 3 stars that Lane and the company are evaluating, but you know, Bama signed the 4 and 5 stars every year. So I guess kind of what are y'all's thoughts there? I mean, I feel like I know the rankings can be somewhat questionable, but at some point you got to sign those guys that are just they're crazy good.
It's a process. I think
you got to get the Jaheim Otises of the world. Those are the recruiting battles that you have to win, and they're trying, but you got to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I hate that we, in front of Jaheim Otis and Arch Manning, you know, we put on that show tonight, and
that one game,
and you could see.
Won't matter a bit.
The best thing, I mean, Arch didn't wear an Alabama cap today. Put that in observation. He did not have an Alabama cap on.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He's not
amen,
going
Chase. Thank you. There's the encouragement I needed tonight.
I'm just saying.
So,
he wore a Masters cap
today. Have a good night. Chase, you're saying we're landing in Arch?
I'm saying he's not going to Alabama.
I would agree with that completely.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Hey, y'all have a good night.
You too. Later. Thanks, William.
Yeah, Lane was too hopped up today.
Yeah, for sure.
Today was personal for him.
Sure. Hey, who do we have?
Whitney from IUFA.
Hey, Whitney, what's up?
Not too much. What about yourself?
Oh, we're just making it.
Did you watch the game?
Just make it. No, I did not watch the game.
What'd you think about it?
Well, I didn't watch it. So
I know.
I didn't.
Do you have a crick in your neck? You feel okay?
Hey, Whitney, listen. It's just us.
Uh-huh.
Is everything okay?
Yes, Brad did not kill me.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, obviously, I'm still alive.
How do we know this is Whitney? Can you tell us a little bit about that night from your perspective?
Well, what would you want to know?
I mean, you slept on a sectional on your wedding night. Was that okay? Are you okay with that?
I mean, it's a really comfortable couch.
But I mean,
obviously, that is not how I would have imagined that would go.
Well, that's what I'm going with. I mean, a lot of people, they think about their wedding night and what their wedding night will entail or not entail. And I mean, frequently,
I think a lot of people don't really consider like how tired you get entertaining people at your wedding.
Well, that is true.
That's fair.
That is true. That is more than fair. That is true.
And I mean, like, good Lord, it's just kind of like when you get home, you just need to like mellow out for a minute.
Were you unhappy?
Did you mean to fall asleep when you did, or was it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, I will 100% take the blame for that.
So, and you were cool with just waking up there the next morning, or would you wanted to be woken up and told, "Hey, why don't you go to bed"? How was?
I mean, I'm pretty chill about it. I'm not, I don't really get too worked up about much of anything. I mean, we're going to be married. There's plenty of time for that, right?
I completely understand.
It's not like the marriage ends the next day.
That's very fair.
That's true. That's more than fair.
When did you find out about the talk around the phone call? How'd you know that the call was made and everything the next morning?
The next day, this crazy chick on social media is like, "Why is your husband using my name?" Like, what the heck are you talking about? And then we went from that to like the
because we thought it was Bud instead of Brad.
Yeah, his name.
Yeah,
is Brad.
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
But evidently, I mean, there are buds in Iuka evidently, so it was,
Yeah, I bet there is more than one Bud in Iuka, but we got it right the second time. When he called back, we got it right to Brad.
Yeah.
We corrected it. Yeah.
Thank the Lord for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Did you go back and listen?
Do what?
Did you go back and listen to the phone call?
Well, I haven't told him that. I listened to the very first one.
Because the first call, listen, Whitney, I mean, I'm sure you love Brad a lot and all, but the first call was kind of creepy. It was kind of different. It was kind of, there was a lot there.
Hey, don't be hating on my man.
And I'm not hating on him. I'm not hating on him at
all.
all.
He was probably real tired too.
He was concerned he did something wrong. In all seriousness, he was worried that he had made a mistake somehow.
Because here's the thing that really threw us off, Whitney. When he said he'd never seen you asleep before, we were both, and frankly, most of our listening audience was we were confused.
Well, I try not, I snore a lot. So that wasn't something that I always tried. Like, I tried not to fall asleep around him because, I mean, you don't really want to just, throw your bad habits right there on somebody. That could be a turn off.
Right.
So I tried not to, nap or anything like that because, I mean, it's bad. I mean, you can hear it, across my parents' house when I was growing up. I should probably see a doctor about it, but
I was going to ask, have you ever seen a doctor about it? Because there are treatments for that.
Well, I just, my dad wears one of those apnea machines, and I feel like I'm really not old enough for that yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how cute would that be? 3 weeks into our wedding, and I got this freaking sleep apnea machine going on.
Well, I mean, but let's be real here. If you're going to be married to somebody, you're probably going to sleep around them quite a bit.
Well, I mean,
so it's something you have to talk about.
I don't really care because, obviously he kind of likes me a little, or he wouldn't have married me, so he can just deal with the snoring now. But before, I was trying to get married, so I didn't want to, scare him away or anything.
No, I understand that. No, I completely. Is he with you now? Did he give you the number to call?
No, I watched it, so I know where it's at.
Okay.
He doesn't know that I'm calling in. I've hidden out here in my car, so he won't know.
Cough twice if you're at gunpoint right now.
No.
Are you going to tell him you called? How do you know he's not inside watching right now?
Well, I mean, I'm just taking my chances at this point. I feel like he'd already be out the door if he was watching it.
Well, that's a good point. Okay, that's fair. I get it. So did we hook you?
Yeah,
you going to keep listening? Or
I'll
are you all in now?
Hear some glass shatter or something in my car if he knew about it. Kidding, that was a joke.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
We know.
We were hoping you would call, so I do appreciate it.
It's great to hear from you because I was worried.
Well, he's told me bits and pieces, he's told me about some screenshots that he's got of where people would be like, "Hey, where's Whitney?" or "Is Whitney alive?" or all that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call in and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Okay. There are people in the stream that are concerned that the laugh sounded like a cough. You were laughing, correct?
Yes, I was laughing.
Okay.
I'm not at gunpoint.
Okay.
The wedding go well? I mean,
safe.
how'd you feel about the day?
How do what?
Did the wedding go well? How'd you feel about the day?
Oh, it was great.
Okay.
Now, there was a small instance where, like, my brother had a little too much to drink.
Okay.
So my dad thought that it would be a great idea to just be like, you know, let's go ahead and take you out. You can sleep it off in your car, you know, no big deal. So he put him in the back of his vehicle at the wedding, but he did not take his keys. So then my brother fell asleep in the back of his car, and he somehow turned the alarm on his vehicle, and then we couldn't get him awake. So that went off for like 30 minutes, and it was right beside the reception. So it was, you know, the DJ was there, but then my brother's alarm system was also there. So that was the only small hiccup for that wedding.
Well, we're glad to know you're okay. Glad you sound happy, which is good. We're glad. Please tell Brad we said hello. Brad's okay, right?
I mean, he's alive.
Okay, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he might call in, he might not. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to not tell him that I called in. Maybe he'll like.
We
watch
promise
the
to not give
YouTube
it away
channel.
if he does.
We will not tell him. And if
Don't tell him.
And if he does call
Is
in,
it-
we won't say we've talked to Whitney.
But I probably shouldn't lie to him since we've been married like 3 whole weeks. So, you know.
It's a little white lie. You know, some lies are worse than others, and that one's not that bad.
Yeah.
That's not that
Yeah,
bad.
no.
Yeah, no harm
That's
done.
fine.
Yeah, no harm
You
done.
know, he'll be fine.
Well, hey, Whitney, thanks.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Jeffrey's ready.
Okay.
Yeah, that upped my number. I'm just going to be honest.
I know.
That was believable completely.
Yeah.
Connecticut up on Vanderbilt 6-3. I'm getting 14
Oh,
points
yeah,
here.
Look at the doors. I bet he was expecting me to call him on Skype.
Oh.
I've not seen the last episode. I'm one behind on Ted Lasso.
This most recent one?
Yeah, I've seen. Ask him if he wants Skyper. I don't think that's him. Does Whitney count as the 4%? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That counts as a pilgrimage in.
Yeah. Please do like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube page, please subscribe. And
hit the bell.
And hit the bell. Yep. And hit the like button if you would. Did you ask him which?
Yeah, he hasn't responded yet.
Okay. He might be busy all of a sudden. He might be upset that.
I told him we were calling after that call, but he has not. He's not responded.
Do you watch much Ted Lasso?
I'm not caught up.
How many Ted? Be honest here. You're not the crying type, but how many Ted Lasso things have made you tear up?
The first season was as good of, I say comedic television, but I'm just taking like severe dramas out of play when I say that, of anything I've maybe ever seen, as far as it being based on comedy, but it really not. It being based off, sentimental moments, things that will kind of grab you a little bit. There's definitely, I don't know what he's asking me to do.
Episode 10 of season 2 was, it'll hit you.
Episode 10. Which one was that?
The funeral.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
It was good. Yeah. I had to kind of stop and reflect for a minute when that was over.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it was interesting. You go from like 8 to 9 to 10, they threw the filler episode in on 9,
Yeah.
so you had a lot of range.
Yeah, episode 9 was like, what the hell's this?
All right, Jeffrey said we did not call him. He did not have a missed call.
Okay. Does he want FaceTime audio?
Hold on a second.
All right. Looking to see what the Florida-Kentucky score is. Apparently Kentucky's doing more than hanging in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. About
they're
to be
winning.
14-10 Cats.
He wants 10 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, all good.
All right, so phone lines are open again if you want to call. Oh, they got it blocked, so not 14-10, 13-10.
Jump the gun.
Yep.
UConn on the move.
You are officially the one person in America who's locked into UConn Vandy.
You think I'm the only one?
Who's not related to a player? Yes, absolutely.
You think somebody's got degrees from both program, like both schools or something that's like
No.
actually in like a crisis of faith here trying to figure out what to do in this game?
No.
You don't?
No way.
Yeah, I really don't want to give this up off TV too right now.
Are you a big Keeley fan in Ted Lasso? Keeley moved the needle for you?
Not really, no. I mean, I don't have a problem with the character, but no,
Yeah,
not
but
to any.
I'm the same way, yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine.
no. It would not be one of my top 2, 3, 4 characters.
No.
State and Texas A&M still 10-10, 8:25 to go second quarter.
There's one thing that I don't want to happen in the whole Keeley thing, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so I won't.
I know where you're going.
But I'm a little concerned
I know where you're going.
that they're building it up, and I'm like, no, this is going to ruin it for me, so don't.
That's not the answer.
No, her character's fine, and I'm okay with her, but I will hate her if she does that.
I was worried there for a few minutes in the episode that was the reveal. I mean, I'm trying to be careful of the online thing leading to her and him. It being Ted.
Oh, I was too.
I was really thinking, and maybe that's what they were trying to do, honestly.
Was
and
to
they
get you to
shocked
think
us.
about that. I did not want that.
Yeah, I was actually a little worried about that.
Yeah, I wanted.
That's a good point. Somebody with UConn and Vanderbilt degrees is probably not watching a football game tonight.
Probably not. How many people do you think have a degree from both of those schools, of all schools?
You think that's a random group?
Yeah, because I don't think of UConn as like a giant academic power.
Would it be somebody who like went to UConn and then like Vandy Law?
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. Ole Miss Cub, you could save the night by somebody like having a shooting in your building. You all good? No gunshots in the doorway or anything tonight?
Look at the doors, just gashing them, baby. Oh, he was not
I don't
down.
know that he was down.
He was not down.
They should just wear this uniform all the time.
Yeah, I don't know why they experiment with it. This is a fine look, and I like the nice little simple helmet with the V.
And the white jersey would look good on this suit.
Yeah, just make it nice and simple.
Yeah, I bet you cannot find a UConn Vanderbilt license plate divider, like house divided thing.
No.
Oh, CP says he has a friend that went to UConn, then Vandy Med School.
Oh.
There you go.
Avery says probably halfway through the show. It's only 7:10. Congrats on the 10 p.m. bedtime. Yeah, we thought if Ole Miss had won tonight, this would be the longest show we ever did.
Yeah.
And the fact that Ole Miss did not win.
Yeah, I actually commented at some point when it went 28-0. I said, if anything else, the show has dwindled. Is what has happened. The women's basketball team will have a better season than the men's basketball team this year for Ole Miss.
Ooh.
I mean, I think the women are a tournament team.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right.
Probably will even win a game.
Meaning a game in the tournament.
Yeah, that's good. That's correct. I mean, I don't know much about it, but they've got Shakira Alston back, who's a top 5 WNBA pick. Madison Scott's back. I mean, from listening to people who do know women's basketball, I actually think they have a shot at the Sweet 16.
Well, that would be significant.
Yeah. That's kind of the thought going into that.
Isn't it funny? The calls were like rolling, and then they stopped for a minute.
They're hung up on Vanderbilt UConn.
Here we go. Yeah, you've steered them towards another game. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, Neal, it's Nate from Atlanta.
Hey, Nate.
Okay, real quick, Nate. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Vanderbilt senior running back Rahman Davis. His Twitter handle is Heisman7.
Hey, everybody can dream.
Shouldn't we have a little more identity and concept of what your identity is for that to be your Twitter name?
My Twitter is GQ for life. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, I got two questions for you. I'm the only Ole Miss Rebel in my office with a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs. Do I have anything positive to say to them in the office on a Monday, or hold my head down, just keep on trucking?
Yeah, put your head
down.
My second part. Put your head down.
My second part would be I had a pretty bad gambling day. You guys got any nightcap picks or any
What are our night games?
Make the day not a total loss.
Yeah, hold on. We'll get you a pick.
Let me see what I can find you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can say in the office on Monday though.
No, just say congratulations. Y'all are good. Great win.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just putting my AirPods in and listen to Monday's show and just listen to y'all. Just stay quiet.
All right, here's what we got tonight.
People are mad at my column because I made fun of the pop. Not made fun. I criticized the popcorn thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people are mad at me.
Are they?
Yeah.
The elephant was kind of funny with the popcorn, though.
Yeah, I mean, Lane walked into that, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to walk out of it when you're down 35-7, but
I think UCLA really rebounds tonight.
Upset at me. They want you to write the next column, which is fine with me.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
What exactly are they mad about?
That I was critical. They don't like the word embarrassing. And it was.
You're down 28-0.
28-0 at the half, and the only part of the game that anybody watched nationally, you got blown out. And you set yourself up because you can't say that at the end of a pregame interview right there on the field and let it be a storyline. And at the half, the people in the studio made fun of it. No one's more pro Lane Kiffin than me, but I mean, it doesn't mean you can't call a spade a spade.
I like UCLA tonight, and I think Fresno bounces back big. Those are the two games I like on the West Coast.
What's the Fresno line?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
What's your second question while we're talking?
The second question was, what should I do in the office on Monday? But you already said that. Keep your head down and keep on trucking.
Yeah,
that's 100% right.
Yeah, don't talk trash. Just let it be.
Yeah, I'll work on those Excel spreadsheets. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
All right. Let's see.
I saw a lot of talk, but I didn't expect it to be negative.
Yeah,
I thought
it was pretty. They didn't like it, which is fine. Like you write columns. You want people to talk about them, and they did.
Yeah, UCLA only -3 tonight. I like that. And Hawaii, Fresno giving 10.5.
I like laying 10.5. Except the atmosphere is so weird that teams are flat
because you have to have your own energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
AP rank for Ole Miss tomorrow.
18.
I was going to say 19. 18, 19. Yep, somewhere there. Hey, who do we have?
Hello?
Hey, who do we have?
Hey guys, this is Jay Reezy, 23. How's it going?
Hey, Jay Reezy, what's up?
Not much. Just wanted to give y'all a quick scenario, and then I'll hang up right after. So, Jay, say just for kicks, Mississippi May goes well just in the recruiting aspect, and Ole Miss has Derek Hall, McKinley Jackson, Charles Cross, Nakobe Dean, and Byron Young on this roster. How much different is that Bama game, and how different is the season? Thanks, guys. I'll hang up and listen.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, much better. It's won by players.
It would have. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you're winning the game, but I mean, that's a lot of dudes. A lot of dudes.
Yeah, it'd be a different defensive.
They haven't all panned out. But.
No, look, you got to have more defensive linemen than they've got. You got to have more linebackers than they've got. You've got to be able to mix people in. You've got to be able to get pressure. You've got to be able to have pressure off the edge. They don't have a lot of that stuff. And look, you talked about this at the beginning. I don't like in games like that letting the game get away early. I didn't like going forward on your own 31 in the second quarter.
Again, I had no issues with the fourth downs around midfield. And even the one like around the 30 because you were kind of potentially outside of field goal range. Once they got to the 5, it just felt like field goal to make sure at that point to get some points. And, the second one, you have nothing else. It's 7-3 right there if you do both those things.
Yeah.
And then just
punt
the ball.
Punt.
Play the football game.
Yeah, you give them a 31-yard field. Kind of felt like you were letting the game get away. Because at some point you're trying to get to the half where you still have a puncher's chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can go in and go, hey, fellas, chill.
It's been 10 if you want to try Jeffrey.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try Jeffrey. FaceTime?
He didn't say.
Okay, I'll just try it again.
He said he did not have a missed call last time, though.
Huh. All right, I'm going to try Skype, I guess. I'm going to try.
Corey, thanks for the super chats. Says, well, I'm out, guys. Just want to say thanks again for the amazing content so far this season. One question: favorite Ted Lasso character, Roy, Beard, or Sam? I'm a Coach Beard guy.
Yeah, Beard. I actually like Roy's character. It's kind of grown on me a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I'm worried.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
I'm worried about his character.
You're worried about it?
Yeah, I told you I'm afraid Keeley and
yeah.
But I definitely like Coach Beard.
Vanderbilt has taken the lead on UConn.
Yeah, of course.
10-6.
For whatever reason, I'm unable to get Jeffrey. He must have an issue, or I don't know what it is. I've tried him on both things. There he is.
So I can see you on my big screen.
Okay. We tried to call you, and I don't know what it was.
I think what happened is I didn't have Wi-Fi, so it won't pick up the call if it's not Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
What'd you pick up?
We got Memphis Pizza Cafe, and I think we'll be drowning our stars. It sounds like tonight.
What's your late game bet? We got to ask a minute ago. What's the best West Coast pick of the night?
I believe that Starkle is out for San Jose State, so grit your teeth and take New Mexico State points.
Oh God!
And then I'm taking the points I'm laying the points with Fresno. What else did I have? The UCLA over.
Okay.
Whatever the over in that game is, like 57.5, something like that.
Okay, that's fair. How much?
I mean, my day swung on this game that we're going to talk about.
How much of this was just Alabama, and how much of this is a problem for the rest of the season for the Rebels?
That's a good question. How differently do you think we feel if Ely gets that first down? Don't you feel like that whole game swung on that because they were everything got off schedule?
What worries me a little bit is just more the line of scrimmage. When you look at the overall stats, and Ole Miss averaged 1.8 yards per rush, and they were gashed so bad on the other side, and Corral had little time to throw. I mean, I agree that there were multiple things. I told Neal, even at a 3-point there and getting a field goal to opening possession, you don't go for that second, fourth down, and the game just slows down for a minute and chills out, and you're actually in it for a minute. Looks different, feels completely different. I don't think the outcomes overall, win-loss, different, but it does change the perception. But the way those lines of scrimmage were dominated, it gives me some pause as they head into Arkansas next week.
Yeah, I still think, though, particularly on offense, I I think the way this offense is designed, I don't really think I've never seen them like how many times do they line up and just beat someone at the line of scrimmage? Most of their rushing yards that they get, it's usually they get it from formation and from scheming and from tempo. I think the thing that was interesting about tonight is, after that first drive, how many times did they get tempo going? And then, we saw
not until the end, not until the second half of the game.
And I thought kind of the other big thing was, how many it's something that we've talked about, like, even when they were winning, was there anything on their offense that bothered you? What I said bothered me was penalties. And we saw it yet again.
Yeah.
Every time they get something going, it would either be, and to Chase's point, maybe some of those holds are because they're getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. Those bothered me less than the just not getting lined up right. Not, you know what I mean? Like there were procedural stuff. Like it just felt like it was the first time that we've seen not only Ole Miss off schedule, we saw them completely out of sync.
Yeah, I just, third and long against Alabama has always been a disaster because of how good Nick Saban and whoever is the defensive coordinator are on third and long. And they were just unable to establish a running game. They talked about it all week, and they tried to establish it, and they couldn't. And by the time they got anything going in the running game, it was in the second half when the game was over. I mean, it's 35-7. Alabama's not playing with the same intensity at 35-7 that they're playing with at 0-0.
No. When that game was in doubt, there was no. I thought the story of today was we saw two teams that very loudly stated their case. We're elite, and the rest of you are the rest of you. And I thought that was Georgia, and I thought that was Alabama today.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, both of those teams played with the chip on their shoulder. And both of those teams, when there's a chip on their shoulder, are really good.
And for the record, I don't think Ole Miss and Arkansas suck. Like, I think those are two good teams. Like, I guess this is a question. How much do you think the Mingo injury, like, I don't think any of us think it impacted the outcome of the game. I think they could have played that game 10 times and Alabama wins today. But I don't know. Everything felt really disjointed today at a level that we haven't seen.
Here's the difference between the Arkansas game and the Ole Miss game today. I think Arkansas went to Athens knowing it was going to lose. I think Pittman knew he was going to lose. He never talked up the game. He never played any of the stuff. He just kind of showed up and they did the thing. I think he knew they were going to get beat. He probably didn't think they were going to get beat like that. But I think he probably knew that card was in the deck, if you will.
No, I think you're 100% right because if you look at how
Kiffin thought he was going to win today.
Well, that was going to be my question. What did he talk? How did he sound after the game? Because
I haven't heard it.
I mean, like let's be real. That Jamie Erdahl, like that was like a moment that you don't do that. If you had any doubt, if he thought that 41 or 42-21 was on the table, I don't think he does that. Do you all agree?
Well, that's why I wrote the column that I wrote. I mean, that's why I wrote what I wrote. You set yourself up to be picked on, and he is getting picked on today, as opposed to playing the card of, hey, look, this is going to be difficult, and it might not work. We could play really, really well and lose. We could play really, really well and lose by a lot. We're only in year 2. That guy's over there in year 15. There was none of that stuff, which is PR 101.
After doing it all week.
Well, and
spent the entire week on it.
That's what they did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a little bit of it on Friday night with the little Ole Miss thing, but he clearly acted like a guy who thought he was coming in there to win a game. He does all the stuff on Twitter, and it's to be cute, and it is, and that's not a criticism. It just is what it is, but then you do all that, and when you do get kind of humbled like they did today, it makes you easy fodder. And maybe I'm different than other people. And
I think that's the risk. Like, listen, like if you're going to do what he does and it pays off in a big way. But like, it backfire. It can backfire.
Yeah, that's kind of all I'm trying to say. But I very clearly did not say that in a way that made sense.
Oh, forgive me. I've been live streaming for 4 hours, so I had that game on its own screen, but I don't know. I mean, to me, like the thing that was, I think the thing that took me the most by surprise, we discussed on, I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was. I didn't really foresee an outcome where Matt just played okay. You know, he wasn't bad, wasn't good. I thought it was either going to be, he was either going to play great or he was going to, probably lose in the game. We kind of got the scenario where, I mean, yeah, he had the sack fumble, but I didn't really think that was necessarily his fault. Other than that, like, he didn't make a critical mistake, in my opinion. Do you all think he did?
I thought Matt played fine. Matt didn't have a lot of time, and then once you fall way behind, it's almost impossible to play particularly well as a quarterback. Unless you have one of those historic nights, and you're not going to have one of those against Alabama. Nobody's coming back 35-7 third quarter against Alabama. It's just not the way it works. And especially not when your defense can't get off the field and there's issues with stopping the run. What's-his-face ran for 171 yards. I mean, those are
there was a lot of getting, Ole Miss would stuff it and they'd get 8 yards.
Yeah, the equation didn't equal Corral having some massive comeback night. But I thought Matt played well. I mean, Braylon Sanders dropped a touchdown pass that was a perfectly thrown deep ball and hit him in the hands. That happened. I don't know whether it was Mingo or whether it was because they're receivers. You said this. Tyler Siskey said this. There was a little bit of a concern about if Alabama played some press, could Ole Miss's receivers create space?
It was my single biggest concern.
And the answer was no, I don't think they could really. And that was a problem. They had to do a lot of dump-off stuff, and it's very obvious that Ole Miss didn't want to run Corral a ton, and I don't blame them. I think that's actually smart because if you lose Corral for any length of time, if these games coming up, it goes from winnable to I don't know that you can win it, and that's a huge swing. And so once the moment comes where you go, hey, This probably isn't our day. Getting the Corral runs out of the system is just smart. So it's not really me picking. I'm not picking on Kiffin at all. It's just, at least I don't think I am. But
I don't think it. This is what I
think you kind of set it up when you do that deal, right? You know when you do the pregame interview on CBS that you're going to get 2 questions. Okay, you're going to get 2 questions. Everybody knows that. So she asked one question, he answered it, and then he did a drop the mic moment. Literally did a drop the mic moment, and that is implying that, hey, we got this. God, can you cover that play any worse?
Well, I mean, and for the record, until the second half, like you said, when the game's over and there's no intensity, that was far and away their best drive of the night.
The first one?
Yeah, for sure.
The one that was scripted.
Yeah, given the stakes, everything. I mean, there is kind of a hesitancy for me to be like, man, just take the points, because it's like telling them to take the points is also ignoring like that. That's ignoring what they are and who they are. Like, and so that's kind of like completely change who you are. But it does feel like, man, like I think he played that game thinking that it was going to get out of hand, and I give Neal credit. Neal's the one that said on Wednesday or Thursday to me, he thought the tempo of the game was going to slow down a lot. And I think we saw that. And I think Kiffin played this game thinking they were going to have to get into the 40s and win. And maybe that would have been the case, but like.
Well, let me interrupt you here, because this kind of goes to what Chase has been saying tonight, which is, and I remember thinking this thought when I looked up at the clock and that first drive, Ole Miss was driving, and they converted a couple of 4th downs, if I recall. Was it 2 4th downs or 1?
I think it was 2 on the first drive, and then
it was 2 and then the failure.
It feels like 2, right? Okay, so they were moving the ball, and I looked up, and it was like 9 minutes or 8:50 to go or whatever, and I thought, whoa, this is kind of big here that you get points because you've consumed half of the first quarter.
Well, because while it was a good drive, like Jeffrey said, it was still a very difficult drive. It felt like they were really having to, just go and go and go. And you get the 2 4th downs, and you look up and you're like, God, they're only at the 30, even though it felt like this drive's going pretty well.
They had a couple of penalties.
Yeah, it was a certain arduous nature to it where you just went, shit. They're not moving very well, even though it's going well.
Jeffrey all year has said that penalties concerned him a little bit, and on that first drive, the penalties were a problem.
Well, I mean, to Chase's point, like that was in the end, you can kind of define the game by this. It's like every time the game was not decided, everything that Ole Miss did felt excruciatingly difficult. And I don't feel like Alabama felt like they were, I think Ole Miss's defense played 1,000 times better than they did last year. Like I think they put up some resistance, but everything felt. How many times did they get out of rhythm? Like it felt like it was never.
Well, no, they literally had spent the whole game in rhythm because of the way they were able to run the football.
But like to me, I don't know. Like I'm not trying. Like again, some of this kind of feels like it's an exercise in futility because I think we all agree there was no scenario today where Ole Miss won. But like giving them short fields twice, that sealed your fate, man. Like you watched them go 98, and then you gave them the ball at whatever, like the 35 and then the 44. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I thought they gave them.
Well, it's what I said in my observations and when we first started this show. I felt like Lane was the guy trying to hit the 8-run home run, that he panicked and then tried to get it all back at one time. It was like, oh, God, here we go. And now the other side of that, though, is you punt, and they're still running through you like butter. So, I mean, hell, I don't know.
Right, but don't y'all think there was a much better chance of Ole Miss making a defensive play today than there was last year?
Well, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, I thought the other big difference of the day was I thought Bryce Young had 3 or 4 critical scrambles that either extended plays or he turned sacks either into incompletions or turned them into, opportunities to go for it. And it felt like he made 4 or 5 of those plays, and then that was all she wrote for Ole Miss.
Yeah, look. Alabama offensively is nowhere close to what it was a year ago.
Nowhere near as explosive.
Yeah, they don't. Let's see, CBS, in case this is breaking, not that this is shocking, CBS will take Georgia at Auburn, so Ole Miss, Arkansas will be an 11 a.m. game on
Congrats to y'all.
ESPN.
Not the worst news.
No, it's what you kind of figured. You knew that either Ole Miss or Arkansas had to win, and frankly, it was Ole Miss. They weren't hung up on the Arkansas part. They were waiting to see if Ole Miss could beat Alabama. I think if Ole Miss had won, the game would be at 2:30. But once Arkansas lost the way it did, when Ole Miss lost, that it was easy. It was elementary.
I mean, I still think, like going back to the original question that Chase asked, I still think the more determinative game is going to be next week. If they get pushed around again like that next week, then yeah, I think there's a legitimate concern because now you're starting to wonder if you're running these 38-second drives and your defense is thin to begin with, like, is that a formula that can last?
No, I don't. No, not. No, the answer is no. You have to play. You have to play completely different than that. It's one next week's. And look, I think Ole Miss beats Arkansas, and I think they beat them by 10 points or so. But if you say draw the scenario up where Arkansas wins the game, I can do it. It's
sure.
It's you eat clock. You possess the football. Ole Miss only had the football 22 minutes today. It's you get Ole Miss in 3rd and long. You take away the run, and you do whatever if you have the ability to do it. You do to Ole Miss's receivers what Alabama did to the receivers on the outside, and you make Ole Miss try to beat you underneath. And I don't know that that's the greatest plan in the world.
Well, I guess the question I think will get answered next week is, I take a look at like Georgia earlier today. KJ Jefferson clearly looked hobbled, but I did find myself wondering, okay, is he hobbled or is that just how fast that defense is? That he looks slow. And the same thing with Ole Miss. It's like up front, were they exposed, or did we just find out the talent gap between, the top two teams, and then, even 3 through like 30? Is the gap closer to, we see Oregon lose tonight. Like, is the gap between the Oregon and the Arkansas Ole Miss, like, is that a tight gap versus the, like in 2011 or whatever, when Alabama and LSU were clearly the two best teams, and then everyone else is just kind of fighting for position?
Yeah, the latter. There's a bunch of interchangeable nature to this after two teams. I'm not sure that's even a question.
Like, I don't know. What's Penn State doing right now?
I don't know.
I've got what are they playing on?
It's ABC. I guess that's kind of like the other thing for me. It's like we're seeing Florida struggle with Kentucky. I think Florida is solid. Like, I think they're good.
Penn State's up 7-0 and driving right now, about to make it 14-0.
But I think what we saw happen, and I think probably we read too much into it, we saw Florida mid-game figure out something that worked, and Alabama didn't come up with a great answer for it at that time. But I'm not convinced that if Alabama and Florida go play, let's say, like, I'm not convinced that Florida's beating Georgia, and if there's a rematch in the SEC championship game, that's some thriller. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so either. And for the record, I don't think Florida can beat Georgia.
I don't. But I was saying, imagine a scenario.
Yeah, right. No, I don't. I think if Alabama got another shot at Florida, it would not be particularly close.
I think it would resemble more of what we saw today. Like, I don't think the gap between Ole Miss and Florida is that wide.
No, I would agree with that. Florida. Here's what Florida is compared to Ole Miss, and this is the
physical.
Well, they're better at the line of scrimmage. I mean, that was Ole Miss's deal, and it's going to be what. Look, Ole Miss is going to get tested now, and you know where the test is. The test is everyone's going to try to go right at them. Arkansas knows it can't be balanced, right? They're not stupid. They know this won't work, and they're going to look at the film, and they're going to go, okay, Ole Miss can't do to us defensively what Georgia did because they don't have the personnel. Because if they had that personnel, they wouldn't be in year 2 of a coaching change. So they're going to go right at them. They're going to attack. Tennessee's going to attack. That's what they're going to do. Auburn's going to attack. We'll see what LSU does tonight. But the teams that are smart are going to look at that film and go, if they're not going to get out of that 3-2-6, we're going to attack it. And we're going to attack it, and we're going to attack it, and we're going to see if we can get them to cheat a little bit, and then we'll take a shot over the top. Then we'll go back to attacking it and attacking it and attacking it. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think that's like, to going back to Chase's original question, is everyone going to be able to attack Ole Miss like that?
No.
Or was it just Alabama? Because
no one's going to be able to do it the way Alabama did it necessarily, but like this one Saturday will be interesting because Arkansas does have a good running game. They do have a good front. They're going to go forward. They're going to try to go forward and get 3.5, 4 yards a carry. Create some 3rd and 2s where you have to defend different things, eat clock, keep Corral off the field, see if you can make him make a mistake. They're going to make him drive the field. They're not going to go for it on 4th and 1 at their own 31. They're going to punt. I mean, they're going to do those things and see what happens. I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Well, and if I know we kind of forget because it was just such an odd, weird year, but if you remember how, like, the season started, Ole Miss played these wild, drunken games. Even the Kentucky game, even though it was one team, was running it, but like that game was like wild and drunk. And then we saw, starting with that Arkansas game, you still had the LSU game that got, berserk, and I guess the South Carolina game to an extent, but a lot of those games kind of had slower paces, and, there were games that weren't even getting into the 30s. And I do wonder if that's going to be more of the norm. And the question that I have is, can Kiffin make the adjustment to win a game in the 30s versus winning a game, wanting to get it in the 40s and 50s and say, I'm just going to outscore you. There's nothing you can do about it.
I think it almost takes turnovers or something to do that, though, frankly. I just don't think it's in his DNA to go, hey, we're going to chill here. He might run the ball more, but he's not slowing down.
Kentucky about to take a 20-10 lead now with 11:32 to go. It's
real over there now.
Big one. Hey, Jeffrey, we're gonna roll. Is that okay?
All right, God.
Appreciate it, bud. All right, bye. All right, you want to hear from Lane Kiffin?
Sure.
All right.
I was actually going to read a couple of those quotes.
All right, I'm going to create a scene real quick. Everybody just hang tight. I've got to create a scene and put Kiffin in it.
All right, so, credit to Alabama first off, players, coaching staff, and reason they're number one team in the country. And, coming here and playing in front of 100,000, said it all week, you got to do everything right to give yourself a chance. And obviously we didn't do that. Had chances to get off the field, had Bryce sacked a couple times, let him out. And then, not making fourth downs and not finishing that first drive, but then multiple drives on fourth down. So I'm sure, got killed on going for it on fourth down, but, that's analytics. We believe in our players and it doesn't work all the time. And so when it works or when it doesn't work and you follow the book, it doesn't look good. So, but also it's why it's analytics, not just doing whatever you want to do, because you can easily get a punt blocked. You can give up a punt return, for net of nothing and it'd be exactly the same. So, disappointing, but it's one game, never defines a season. So great team. And we struggled with them on offense, obviously, and especially up front. And I guess 31's got another year, but he should go be the first pick of the draft.
I will take questions on Zoom.
Nick Suss.
You talked about the struggles up front. Just what did you see from your offensive line that allowed them to put so much pressure on Matt and kind of took away the run game too?
They played a lot of odd tight with four eyes, and that's a hard up front, when you do that. And so, I tell it how it is, good and bad. We got dominated up front, so that ain't hard to see. I'm sure you saw that watching. Matt didn't have very much time. We had negative runs with guys in the backfield. So again, that's not us doing a very good job. And it's also, credit to a really good defense. And I'd buy 31 and then 10 made plays. I thought about it towards the end of the game. Coach Saban said a year ago, he felt like afterwards, it was like every call was like the right call that we had and everything went our way. And I felt like that today for them, defensively, like, we go speed option on fourth down and, number 10 makes a great play and catches Neal. Neal tries to cut back for some reason. So credit them for showing up, making a lot of plays.
Joey Blackwell.
Hey, Coach. Brian Robinson Jr. was able to rush for over 170 yards, and Alabama running backs in general over 200 yards. What made them so effective against you guys, particularly defensive line today?
Well, Brian's a good player. I remember him playing right here in high school in Tuscaloosa when I was there. And, they ran him a lot to their left side. I guess left tackle might be the first pick of the draft since 31 can't come out because he's huge, and they ran behind him a lot. The guy's a dominant player, and Brian did a really good job and, was still in there at the end. So actually finally stopped him there in the fourth quarter twice.
Parrish.
Lane, how far away do you think you are from your offensive and defensive lines being able to catch up and be more competitive in this kind of game?
Well, I think that's always an issue with Alabama. I mean, they sign the best players everywhere in the country, but they always sign the best in the front. And so, you're going to have to do unique things, no different than, when Ole Miss did beat Alabama. They had Mdici and moved the front and, made a lot of plays. So it's always going to be a little uphill battle that way. That's just how it is. And, you got to scheme around it.
We'll go to Blake.
Yeah, Lane, those 2 4th downs inside your own territory, do you think you would have gone for those against any opponent, or do you think playing Alabama influenced that decision?
No, that's actually opposite. If anything, 100% you go for it. And if, that's the other way. A lot of people don't do it because it's like scared money. When blackjack table, you got $5, it's easy, put a couple of thousand out there. Now you get scared. And so I said, we weren't going to do that. We were going to follow the analytics, follow the book, and not get scared because we're in Alabama and, not have confidence in our players and punt. Because again, you can punt and then go score. They scored every possession but one in the first half. So, I know it looks bad when it doesn't work, but again, you can punt it away. It just takes longer for them to score.
Back to Nick.
Lane, are there adjustments that can be made to be able to stop the run and still keep 5 or 6 in the box like you guys have this season?
Yeah, it's going to probably sound crazy, but you were there a year ago. They moved the ball a lot better a year ago, a lot faster than this year. It just took them longer this year. So we actually, made them work, to get the rushing yards, even though it ended up being a lot. But, Brian's 4.8 a carry, that could have easily been a lot higher. So I don't think, it's a game where you say all of a sudden, okay, hey, we need to change what we're doing on defense. That's not really the storyline of the game. The storyline of the game is that they did a great job on defense with great players and made great adjustment with the coaches. And, we didn't.
John.
Right here, but Lane, you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what were your takeaways of Matt's performance today overall?
I think it's going to sound strange. I think Matt played all right. It's not like he threw no interceptions. Whatever he was, completion 22 of 30. We didn't do a whole lot around him, and we didn't protect him. That's hard when you don't have a long time to throw, and actually, moved around, got out of trouble, and made some plays, or it would have been worse. So I thought, Matt still played well.
Quick follow-up to that. You've been coaching for a long time after kind of a loss like this, and you guys are rolling. What's kind of the key to kind of boost morale in the locker room with players afterwards after a game like this?
Make sure we understand it's one game, and there was a lot of hype and build up for the game, and one game does not define your season. It doesn't define you, it molds you. So you can go one way or the other. And I think in a way, as much as it hurts during it, it's kind of sometimes better when a game's like this versus last year where you're sitting and saying, oh, one play, and then you got a hangover, and go play like we did against Arkansas. So hopefully this refocuses and shows us, how we got to do everything right.
We'll go to Michael.
Yeah, you guys had 78 rushing yards. Is that more of a factor of the way the game, the pace of the game, the way the score was, or was that what Alabama was doing defensively?
Well, that's a combination, but, especially as you saw the game in the first half, not a lot of holes to run. So had to try to be creative and come up with different things to get some more space and stuff. But, if you don't get the first downs going and get them tired, I've always said, I've seen the Alabama defense for a long time. They can be a great defense and shut anybody down if you don't get them tired. And we didn't do that today. I thought we were starting that way with the first drive, and then we sputtered after that.
Back to Nick.
Do you have an update or a diagnosis on Mingo?
I don't. That was a late in the week thing. Feel down for the kid. He was in tears, wanting to play in this game, and has worked as hard as anybody. Felt bad for Matt losing him. Finding out Thursday that he wasn't going to play, so we'll see.
Okay, we'll take some questions in the room. Coach, how much was playing at Bryant-Denny at full capacity, kind of your first true road game of the season, a factor in this game?
I mean, I'm sure it was. Once you put the headset on, we don't hear that as coaches. But, that's why they call home field advantage and 100,000 people, So I'm sure it affected the players somewhat. I didn't feel like we had, a lot of crowd noise issues where you saw a lot of false starts going on. And but I'm sure it was an impact.
All right, we'll take one more.
Wayne, obviously, Jonathan not being in there is huge for your guys. The second leading receiver on your team in multiple categories. Did not having him, how much did that kind of impact your game plan and impact, the outcome?
Well, when you lose a significant player late in the week, it's difficult because your game plan's already in. When we found out he wasn't going to play, so is what it is. I kind of felt bad for Matt when it happened that he wasn't coming in with full strength weapons to go into this matchup. And so, but we got to get better, and whoever plays.
All right, thanks, Coach. Love players and next.
All right, guys, thanks.
That was Lane Kiffin. We'll, if you want to, I'll load all of that Kiffin and players at rebelgrove.com. I'll put it into our YouTube. If you're here, you'll see it there too. So we'll have all that to you here in a bit.
Lane defended some of the actions, talked about analytics and actually doing more of it because they were playing Alabama versus vice versa. I mean, some of it still felt emotional. I mean, I'm going to stick with that. I mean, not that he necessarily would even admit that in the press conference, but I just, the only thing, and somebody said in the thing, is if you think that you are having to score on every possession because your defense is never going to stop, and at one point Alabama scored on 10 straight possessions in the series.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, who cares how fast it does it, and you're just trying to maximize the times you have the ball offensively. But there was a certain bit of feel early that I just struggled with, I guess, put it that way.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, nothing that he said overly shocked me in this.
Let's see. Phone lines are open, 662-259-0991. I know a handful of people tried to call during Kiffin's time just then, so try back now, and I'm looking for it. Scores around a little bit. Let's see. Vanderbilt's up 17-9 over UConn, the Chase Parham Bowl. Kentucky leads 20-10. Is it still 20-10?
Yeah, it's 20-10.
And although Florida is driving with what's the time left on that game?
They're in the fourth quarter now.
7:35 to go. Florida has it 2nd and 2 at the Kentucky 12. And then A&M and Mississippi State are in the third quarter by now, I assume?
They are, yeah. Could have been a flag, but probably a good
he
no
was
call.
Very fortunate that wasn't a pick the way he did that. Boy, it's a bad throw. I mean, when you make a throw like that, you're really lucky that it doesn't result in something. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, what's up, man? It's JP from Atlanta.
Hey, JP, what's up?
Neal, dude, that was a rough game, man. That was a rough game.
How so?
Well, it's interesting, man. Like Lane went for it really early, right? So I think about it as 3 strikes, right? So here's the 3 strikes, in my opinion.
Okay.
Strike 1, lost the toss. Strike 2, didn't score a touchdown out of the gate. Strike 3, you had Chance, who lost the sack, and then Sam got hurt chasing him, and then they I think it was a first down, and then it was just game over after that. It was tough.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. I don't even know what to say. I feel like we've hit that point where you've said about all you can say about a football game.
Yeah, it's interesting. But here's the thing, and this is what I've been saying to my friends, and they look at me like I'm crazy. But I told them, look, if you playoff run, if Ole Miss wants a playoff run, which, look, I still think Corral, if you look at the stats, even though Bryce accuracy is out of control, Matt Corral still had great stats. And when you put them up against Bryce, they look great. But you think about the playoff run, losing to Bama is an easier road because now.
Oh, come on! Come on! No. Listen, no. I mean, I'm all for being positive and stuff, but this is not a playoff team. This is.
You don't think so? You don't?
No, think so? No. Come on, this is not a playoff team.
No, Neal. So I love this. This is good. So tell me, because I need to know as a fan, right?
Because they're not good enough they're not good enough up front to win 7 SEC games in a row.
Offensively or defensively?
Either spot. They're not good enough to win 7 SEC games in a row. I mean, do I think they could win 5 or 6 of their remaining 7 games, or 5 of the remaining? Yes. That's 9-3, and 9-3 is about what this team probably.
Yeah,
it's probably the
you're
ceiling.
Right. No, you're right, because you think about we were at like 7.5 was the win for Vegas, so you're probably right. 9.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 11 wins. So 11 wins means that what you just saw tonight with their struggles on both sides of the line of scrimmage, that this team is going to beat Arkansas and Tennessee and LSU and Auburn and Mississippi State and Texas A&M. I mean, boy, that's a bunch. I mean, that is asking a lot.
That is a bunch. But what's our toughest road game?
Auburn.
Yeah, and Auburn gets silly. So I give you that. Auburn does get silly.
Auburn's fairly good on both lines of scrimmage. I mean, that's going to be a challenging game.
Yeah, that is true.
At Mississippi State is going to be a challenging game. They're
They're
fair
right.
on. Well, it will be. I mean, I've been. How long have we?
I know.
I mean, I've seen it. They're going to play that game.
They likely are beating A&M.
I mean, they're playing A&M really tight right now. The score is what channel is that on?
10-10 last time.
Is it on?
Yeah, but
Network?
I mean, A&M. We would boat race A&M.
I don't think you'd boat race A&M. I think Ole Miss can beat A&M. I don't think you're being fair about what other teams are going to do to you until you stop it. And maybe Ole Miss can stop it. But look, you're going to have to show that you can stop people from lining up and running at you.
Yeah.
I mean, I told Chase this a minute ago, and I'm not trying to be the super negative guy at all.
No, I like it.
But it was 35-7. Had we stopped at 35-7 and just said, okay, that's it. I mean, we're putting a little bit too much stock into a couple of late drives that made the score look a little better than what it was. That was in the part of that game where everybody was on the same page. That game was pretty dominated today, and it was dominated at the line of scrimmage. It wasn't about Matt Corral. Like you just heard Lane Kiffin, and he's right. Matt Corral played pretty well. Ole Miss couldn't run the football on them.
So Neal, here's what I have to say about that. I don't think it's about Matt either.
There's a flag on this play, Chase.
I think Jarian was cranking. I think they were doing what they could. I kind of think it's on Lane, though. Like, Lane went for it hard early. It was almost like Lane he kind of needs a little bit more maturation. Like, it's almost like the spotlight got to him. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but
I don't think it's the spotlight. I think he really wants to beat Nick Saban. I think he really wanted to win, and I think he must have thought that they had a real shot to win. And then when it started to spiral on him a little bit.
He was trying to max out what a win would look like all the way around.
Yeah.
That's it. True. If they win the game, it's like this look what he did before and the whole deal, and you run the whole game.
It's almost like you were preparing a video. Yeah. That's what it felt like. And that's why people are picking on him today. I mean, no one's picking on other people that lost.
Yeah, no, that's true. Look,
you know, when
look, I love Lane because here's the thing. I was telling, I was
that's
texting my buddy,
offensive
go,
PI.
every fourth down, go for it. This is our identity. That's how we That's how we win. That's how we lose.
Yeah,
So just go for it. You know?
Sure. Hey, thanks for the call.
No, I appreciate you guys, man. Love all the content, man.
Thanks,
Love
JP.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks to CJ. Says even if Ole Miss wins out to make the playoff means the SEC has to have 3 playoff teams. Yeah, it is. I mean, the playoff thing is just, come on. It's not a playoff team.
No.
Right now, outside of Alabama and Georgia, there are no playoff teams. I realize there's going to be a 4-team
But
field.
there are 2 playoff teams.
But
nobody else even looks like in the same
Godspeed to
stratosphere
them
right now.
The SEC championship game, if it's what I think it's going to be,
Frankly,
it's
they
going
should
to
all
be
just
like
take the day off
a chess match. Like who wants
We're all both in.
Do you want to be the 1 seed, or do you want to be the 3 seed?
Yeah.
Do we want to show you anything this game, or do we want to save it?
We'll see again
because we're going to see each other again in a month
after we go beat somebody.
Yeah.
Sure.
You want to play in wherever or wherever?
Yeah, because the 1 seed gets to pick their location.
Yeah. So does location matter?
Yeah.
Bobblefish says Gators have 13 flags tonight. Having a hard time keeping up with. By the way, Auburn and LSU are going to start on ESPN News. It's 20-13 Kentucky over Florida. 5:24 and ticking. Yeah, I mean, like Feinbaum's going to beat up Kiffin Monday. He just is. That's just the way it works.
And it'll all be over by Saturday.
Yeah.
That's the thing, too.
Won't matter.
The attention spans will go away, and on Saturday they'll beat Arkansas, and everything will be back on this schedule, or if they lose, it'll be about Arkansas, not Alabama.
Yeah, if they lose to Arkansas, it's going to be about what we just got through talking about.
Yeah.
Because there's only one way for Arkansas to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
There's one way at the line of scrimmage. It is to totally dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
This game's got a chance. This Florida-Kentucky game has a chance to be an OT game.
It does. UConn has cut it to 1 in Nashville.
But the doors, we're good. Don't
That
fumble.
felt like ball out for a
it
second,
did.
didn't
I thought
it?
it did. Yep. I'm not liking Vanderbilt plus 14, although it is still
It's still okay.
Yeah. Hey, who do we have?
This is C. Moses, man. What's going on?
What's up, C. Moses?
Or Chris. Why? Okay, can I ask you all a question?
Sure.
Why is it, like every Ole Miss fan acting like this was a funeral and we're just dead?
I don't think is everybody doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always an
kinda
instant
seen
frustration.
that.
I think by Monday, everyone will be calmed down. There's a certain just right after that has to sort of go away from an adrenaline standpoint, and then once that's over, everybody kind of catches there and gets back in the right mindset a little bit.
Right.
It's an
like,
instant deal.
I fully expected to get beat up front on defense because our D-line, let's be real, they're not great. And I didn't expect us to get beat that bad up front offensively with their defensive line. But then I have to think, we did lose Royce Newman, who's kind of good.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, Royce is really good.
Playing guard for the Packers right now.
So, yeah, and he's, what he play, tackle? And what are we lacking?
Yeah, I thought Jeremy had kind of a bit of a baptism today. Kind of got welcomed to the league to some extent.
Yeah, sometimes you get caught on fire, you know. And that's okay. You just get some flame retardant next year and put yourself out.
No, I mean, look, if there's one message that gets sent to the program is that, hey, and they already knew this, but you've got to recruit.
Right.
You've got to recruit better linemen.
Yeah.
And you got to have.
You got to get a big inside nose who can just stuff it if you're going to run 3 down. I mean, that's just simple. You need a 320 to 335 guy who can move.
Yeah, and you got to have edge guys too. I mean, Georgia's got those two dominant defensive linemen, and then they have all these linebackers who can run.
Yeah,
they just close
you need
gaps.
dudes like mature, healthy.
Shout out N'Kobe
Tyron
Dean, bro.
Jones.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Georgia has 4 N'Kobe Deans.
It's really good that Matt Luke finally gets to coach him. I'm so glad he finally got to, even though he's not really coaching him.
I mean, that's the thing about N'Kobe is that Georgia's got a bunch of those guys.
Yeah, right.
You
Like
know,
he is a guy amongst a bunch of guys.
so I mean, like if you're looking at the Georgia game today from a Georgia perspective, they didn't have their quarterback, so they put in their game manager, and and they said, hey, just hand it off. We're going to ask you to make a throw here and there, and I do think that
Dude, he made a couple throws.
He did. He made a couple of really good throws, but for the most part, though, what they did was they said we're going to run it right down your throat. And they did it.
And they did that.
And so what you don't know, based on that was that them, or was that Arkansas can't defend the run, or was it some combination thereof? And I don't know. We'll start to find out.
It's both. It's both.
But boy, I mean, Georgia's a physical football team.
God, man, they're filthy up front, just absolutely filthy. And that kind of had to suck for Sam Pittman. Because a lot of those guys on the O-line, he got them. Well, he didn't get them there, but he did get them there. You know what I mean? I'm saying?
If you watched them this week, they did 2 things. One, they celebrated Texas A&M all week long, and then the other thing that they did was they never even talked about Georgia, which told me they knew what was coming.
There was nothing personnel-wise they could have ever
They're
done.
still a good football team.
Oh,
obviously.
they're fine. They're fine. I mean, they played a really good game against Texas, and they played a really good game against A&M, and A&M has been exposed as a pretty mediocre team. And I think Arkansas is an above-average team. Look, what's going to make the Arkansas-Ole Miss game interesting is that there's absolutely no mystery as to what Arkansas is going to try to do, and so it's whether Ole Miss can line up and stop it. That's going to be the issue, because Ole Miss won't have the personnel to do to Arkansas what Georgia did today, which was, oh, no, we're going to shut this completely down. And so you're going to have –
here's also the thing with the chess match. Arkansas doesn't have the personnel to just run at Ole Miss that Alabama did today. So it'll be like a chess match that's going to be Georgia and Alabama, but just on a lesser scale.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I mean, boy, Florida's about to make this thing really interesting. Florida inside the Kentucky 10 with 3:08 to go, down 7.
Yeah, I got y'all on TV1, and on TV2, I see these 2 large gentlemen punching at each other. So I've not even seen that game. Is it still 13-10, or what's the score there?
20-13 Kentucky, but Florida driving.
Same difference,
Hey, thanks for the call, C. Moses. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Smokes and meats. They turned out good. I may send y'all a picture. Who knows?
Awesome. Let us know.
Praise God, brother. I love y'all's show.
Thank you. Bye. Liberty up on UAB 17-3, according to Mark.
Vandy punting back to UConn.
I bet it was a hell of a good punt, wasn't it?
It was a rugby kick.
Yep.
That they're having a hard time corralling. Oregon had a 99.9% chance to win with 1:51 left.
Ooh.
Lost 31-24.
Tough to absorb.
2 personal foul penalties on a tying 87-yard drive by Stanford.
Florida's going to have 3rd and goal at the 5. Yeah, Arkansas pulled. Allen makes a good point. Arkansas pulled all their starters pretty quick. They knew the score.
It was over it. I mean, frankly, it was over it.
Frankly, it was over at the first quarter. Yeah, that game was done.
And then when it went to 21, it was like, okay.
The blocked punt, it was icing on the cake. After that, it was just a matter of what the final was going to be. He moved left side.
We're going to be back to the 10 now.
1:24 to go in Lexington. Real Gear Online says nights like tonight make 80s nervous. About all right. I think he means about Kiffin. I don't know about that. Look, Kiffin's still he's a good coach. I mean, he's not perfect. I think if he had a do-over, he would have maybe changed a little bit about how he handled the build-up to this.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't really the build-up. It was only the beginning of the game.
He got
handled it great all
emotional.
week.
Yeah, he got emotional at
The
game
little
time.
Ole Miss was funny. Like, he was great until
sure.
today. He woke
Yeah.
up today, and it was whatever.
Yeah, he wants this game. There's no
Third and
question.
goal from the 10. Jones pressured, throws it away, I guess.
Yeah,
So it's going to be 4th and goal with 1:08 to go.
Did someone throw a flag? What's the flag? Oh, these officials, man. Come on. You keep that play alive you're going to give them a second life on that call.
What'd they call? Face mask. I need to see it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to need a replay here.
Oh, yeah, he did. Never mind. Good call. I stand corrected. So 1st and goal at the 5. 1:08 to go. Florida still has all 3 of its timeouts. State's up 24-13 over A&M.
That thing's going to be over.
How about that?
A&M is so bad with Calzada at quarterback. Did his knee touch?
I thought his knee was down at the 7-yard line.
They called it 2nd and goal. He's down.
Yeah.
Clock still running, 57, 56.
Well, time's not an issue because they can stop it 3 times. Yeah, he's down right there. Oh, yeah.
Way
Not
down.
even close. Down at the 7.5-yard line. If A&M loses this game, how bad is it for Jimbo Fisher?
I mean, he's not getting fired this year, but they are what they are. That program is what it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it becomes, in a pandemic
Because
year.
but they're losing Saturday. They're losing to Alabama. That would
Yeah.
give them consecutive losses to Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Alabama.
Yes.
Who's after that for them? Let's see. I've got it here. They go to Missouri, get South Carolina at home, and then an open date. So they got a little time to fix it. But then they got Auburn, Ole Miss, Prairie View, and LSU to finish it.
Yeah. They reviewed that for some reason, even though the guy basically fell on all fours. Remember DeWine Black?
Hey, who do we have, caller? Hey, caller.
Hey, is this Neal and Chase?
It is. Who's this?
Yeah, this is David from Georgia.
Hey,
you
David.
guys just brought up a really good point that I actually wanted to reiterate. If A&M loses to Mississippi State and then loses to LSU and then loses to Ole Miss, how much longer does Jimbo have?
Well, they just
Because,
redid his deal.
God, these people think they should be Alabama, and they're really not. They never have been, never will be.
What's
they owe him.
guaranteed, though, out of the 75?
I mean, well, they just redid it. They just redid the deal. He's owed $70 million.
They don't have to pay it all, do they?
I mean, I don't have the contract in front of me.
Text Rawson asking.
But still, I mean, if you, I mean, how
Hey,
can
Ross,
you
I know
pay-
you're busy.
How
Just
can you pay
curious.
that much money for an average coach when? Honest to God, I love Lane Kiffin. I love everything he's doing. I think he's going to build Ole Miss into whatever they're going to be. I think Sam Pittman is a great coach, and I think he's going to build Arkansas into everything they can be. But when you're paying Jimbo Fisher what they're paying him, how long can you let this go?
At least 2 more years.
At least, because the money. Look at Florida. Florida killing itself with penalties here down the stretch.
I hear what you're saying, but I lived in Texas. I lived in Texas for almost 20 years.
But here's the thing. Let me ask this.
Neal.
But let me ask this, because we do this all the time. It's like, who's going to win at Texas and who's going to win at Texas A&M, and then nobody does it outside of Vince Young and Mac Brown that one year. Is it possible that maybe those programs, the ceilings aren't what we think they are?
No, I completely agree with you on that, but I'm wondering about the people with the money that can go out and get whatever coach they want. You remember back in, I can't remember what year it was, but like, what was it, like 16 or 17 that Texas had everything wrapped up with Nick Saban?
Yeah.
I mean, how much were they going to pay Nick Saban to leave Alabama to come to Texas, and Texas wouldn't give Nick Saban what he wanted?
The Texas schools can't get out of their own way. I mean, that's a guarantee.
Look at Lexington. It's rocking,
Yeah,
man.
it's hopping tonight.
No, I completely agree with you, Chase. They can't get out of their own way. They got more money than anybody else on the planet, but they can't get out of their own damn way. Whatever, man. I'll let you guys talk
All right.
about it. Talk to you later.
Appreciate your call.
Bye.
Second and goal, Florida on the 14 now. 35 seconds to go. Again, they have a couple timeouts. So
Oh, yeah, time's not the issue.
they're running a draw.
That's not a good play. Gonna
Down
get
at
to
the
the
12 or
11.
the 11. Third and goal.
Third
Two
and
plays
goal at
to
the
go.
11. Take your time out.
27, another timeout.
Dane's like, oh, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Mullen's one of the better coaches in the country. He's also one of the most frustrating coaches in the country.
What did Urban Meyer do on Twitter tonight?
I don't know. I do think there'll be some of that, Allen, where you just go, hey, A&M lost their starting quarterback, and all their fans will act like that's the reason why they suck right now. And it doesn't help, but let's not act like Hayes was.
Hey, caller, who's this?
Knocking them out.
Hey, it's Aubrey over in North Carolina.
Aubrey?
Aubrey.
Hey, Aubrey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm watching this Kentucky game. I'm going to go next. My wife's a Kentucky grad. We're going to go to the LSU game next week, so I'm trying to prepare myself.
Just wear neutral. You have a good time.
Yeah.
You're probably going to win.
Yeah.
I'd wear blue at a Kentucky LSU game.
Yeah. I was thinking, too, these Dan Mullen, and I was watching Kirby Smart today, these coaches that wear these visors over their headset, this just looks terrible.
Yeah, and they fool with it the whole time like a kid does a mask.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Third down. Let's see. We'll swing route. Not going to get anything to the about the 8, maybe the 8. 8.5 yard line, fourth down.
Oh, wow.
One play to tie.
Thanks to Tucker. He says we got beat up front tonight. Better get ready for next week. Thanks for all you do, guys. Yeah, they got beat up front. There's no question. That's the story.
Also, Tucker, you forgot
Yeah,
to call me. Give me a shout tomorrow.
I was going to
Go ahead.
I
Sorry,
like what your article, Neal. I kind of cringed when Kiffin did the little popcorn thing, because right prior to that, on the on-field interview, he said he wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about the players. And then I was like, you're obviously
I mean, look, it's okay, but I mean, it was, you let that game you let that game get hyped up the way that it did, and it was 28-0 at the half, and that's all that anyone's ever going to remember. And people are upset at me for saying that Corral's Heisman chances died, and maybe died is too strong, but they for Matt to win the Heisman at this point, he would have to be electric the rest of the way, and.
They'd have
I completely agree.
And Bryce Young has to fall off because Bryce Young's winning the Heisman as of tonight.
Yeah. Now, I don't think Bryce did anything to necessarily win it. I just think everybody else did
but
something
his team
negative.
won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to lose it. So. Well, I'll let y'all finish watching this game.
No,
and
you're
I'll
good.
talk to y'all later.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Aubrey.
Thanks.
Living room.
Hey, who do we have?
Hello.
Hello.
Who is this?
Who's this?
Hey, this is Hollis Callaway from Amory, Mississippi. Who is this? Is this the walk-on show?
Yep.
Hey, this is Hollis Callaway. Who am I speaking with?
Scott and Jeff.
Scott and Jeff. Hi, it's good to talk with you.
You too, Hollis.
All game,
talk
Kentucky
to
wins.
Neal. Say that. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Nothing. Go ahead.
Nothing. Kentucky just finished off Florida. Kentucky will be 5-0. Big. I see. I should have stuck with it. I questioned my own entire summer worth of.
You did.
Yeah. Kentucky goes 5-0.
Yeah.
They'll get LSU at home next week to get a chance to go 6-0. Chance for Kentucky to have a massive season.
Louisiana State. I was a sophomore at Ole Miss back in God Lord late 70s, and Louisiana State, they ain't had no much luck in Kentucky there in Lexington in about 15 years, I'd reckon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Jacquez Jones, the former Ole Miss linebacker, makes the final pass deflection, by the way.
Jacquez Jones, he kind of riled me up, kind of his last late night performance when they played Auburn. That was a year ago, maybe?
They played Auburn during the day last year, if I recall correctly.
What? Shoot. Well, okay, I've been in the care home since like 17, I reckon.
Yeah. What else you got?
Well, I thought, I don't know, it's late, and it's 8:30 here in Amory, and
Yeah, I'm done with that. I'm done with that.
Sure.
If you're going to be funny, be funny.
State till 24-13, 4 to go third quarter.
Who's this?
This is Hollis Callaway.
Yeah, I'll block that one. I now know what number I'm looking for there.
Okay. All game's over.
Final in Lexington. Big win for Mark Stoops. 5-0 for him.
Students on the field in Lexington.
Oh, sure. Come on, it's a big moment for them. Defensively, they are consistent. And that's what gives them chances in games like this. They're never going to be an elite offensive team, but they play well on defense, and it gives them a chance.
Yeah, that's fair.
The care home is pretty loud. All right, A&M just scored. All right, let's see. Hey, who do we have?
Hey, sir, this is my friend Mark Callaway. What's going on with our offensive line? That's kind of off. What's going on with
Trying really hard. I mean,
Yeah, he tried a different number that time.
Yeah. And I'm kind of impressed in a way.
Yeah, my Wildcats 5-0, man. I spent the entire offseason saying that.
You did.
Would you rather go down? Lost it. Shark infested. It's too late now. I lost it.
Okay.
I hadn't heard from Spencer at all this year.
We have not.
Makes you kind of wonder if something's wrong. I'm a little worried about Spencer.
Yeah, look, A&M at least made it a game. It's going to be 24.
It's a totally different area code, so I'm going to try, but I'm just going to tell you that I'm concerned. Who's this?
Hey, guys, this is Tucker in New Orleans.
Hey, Tucker.
How are y'all tonight?
We're better now.
After Mr. Number keeps calling?
Yeah, he just tried to call again, too.
Okay, well, we'll keep him off the line for a little bit. We're doing pretty good tonight?
Oh, yeah, we're doing fine.
Okay, well, did you get my my therapist gist?
Yeah, it's been better than I think it's been a little worse than Neal thought as far as people being a little upset. But for the most part, it's been an okay night. Kind of hanging out.
Okay, I have two questions.
All right.
So, after the fact, are we saying that the line was okay? Vegas knew something that we didn't. Obviously, all week we were like, okay, there's no way that Ole Miss doesn't cover this thing, or are we just it was a bad game script and all that?
Vegas did not. We ignored a couple of the really bad matchups and focused on the wrong things all week, I felt like, at least for myself. The fact that Ole Miss had not stopped anybody running the football that was going to really pound them with just a power running game was a huge problem that I did not thoroughly account for.
Neal, what about you?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think Vegas knew that Alabama was really good on both sides of the defensive line. I mean, both sides of the line, offensive, defensive. I think they knew that was still a question about Ole Miss, and I think they knew that Ole Miss was hot and that Ole Miss was getting a lot of attention, and that if you set the line high enough, that a lot of action would come in underneath the line, which is exactly what happened.
To me, it felt like Saban said, we're not going to do the drop 8 thing. We're not going to do the pressure you thing. We're going to line up and just straight up beat you and out athlete you. That's what it felt like to me. And it kind of played out. On the defensive side of the ball, at least.
I don't really know, because I'd have to talk to some people who watch the game and know football better than me.
Yeah.
But I think it was very clear they weren't going to let Ole Miss go over the top and hit a bunch of big plays. They were going to make
yeah.
They were
going to make them drive down the field, and every touchdown they scored was going to be a thorough drive, as you saw in the first possession, and they didn't score at least, but they were going to make them do it, and it felt to me as I watched the game like, all right, it's going to be so much harder for Ole Miss to drive down the field, because it was easier for Alabama to run the ball, and Ole Miss, it wasn't as easy to run the ball, and that was kind of the story. They were just getting beat up front.
Yeah, well, that is absolutely the story, was that they got beat up front on both sides of the ball, and when that happens, everything else has to be perfect, and they weren't.
Exactly.
They weren't perfect everywhere else.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw that. But, okay, second question was, I'm down here in New Orleans. Chase, we're going to the game tomorrow. How are we feeling? Giants have got Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay out of the game tomorrow. It feels like a W, but
if you're
we don't really know
if you're doing anything with your season,
what this team's going to do. So, what are we feeling?
It's a win if you're doing anything with your season. And look, Jameis is limited. I'm not expecting big things, but I do think they'll win the game tomorrow. I just think they're better defensively. I think they could run the ball. The Giants are bad. I think you'll have a good time. I think it'll all be all right. But yeah, it's one of those deals where I'm still kind of expecting some sort of 9-8, 10-7 kind of season that probably misses the playoffs.
The roller coaster is definitely here. I don't, regardless of a W or not tomorrow, the roller coaster is here, and I think we're about to ride it.
They've played 3 games, and the starting quarterback's not throwing for 150 yards yet. So yeah, absolutely, that is a very astute observation.
Well, and some of the Jameis throws in that Carolina game were suspect and kind of made you have those flashbacks to Tampa Bay, and those are not good thoughts if you're a Saints fan.
He didn't trust anything. He had everybody in the wrong spots. They didn't set protections. They did a better job against New England last week. I thought they played really well. But
I'm finding out why Urban Meyer's trending on Twitter, by the way.
Okay.
Wait, have you guys seen that?
No.
Is that really him?
It appears to be him, and that does not appear to be his wife.
Oh.
And she's kind of grinding up against him.
I actually don't know this. I could be behind the times. Is he divorced?
No, he's not at all. No.
Okay, so I saw multiple videos on Twitter of, women, I guess, forcing themselves on him, and it did not look good for Urban.
Yeah, no, like a couple of weeks ago, I just stumbled across a Twitter video of where some Jacksonville news anchor had gone in his home to show everybody his wife's decorations and stuff. So no, definitely not divorced.
I don't know if y'all referenced it this week, but it was the jokes just make themselves when he uses the word heartbreaking in a press conference. I mean, it's too easy at that point.
Oh, that'll be good to follow. I'm interested. So,
hey, thanks for the call, Tucker.
All right, thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Near the end of the third, State 24, A&M 19. Auburn and LSU have started 7-0 LSU Tigers, 5:50 to go first quarter.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So that's where we are right now.
You're the only person in America that has instead.
Whatever.
You want to take one final call?
Sure.
Right, here we go. Who's this?
Hey, Gerald and Brandon.
Hey, Gerald. Hey, what's the
Hey,
weather?
Mike Wilbon.
What's the weather down there?
Surely, you opened the show with a thing of popcorn on the desk, right? Monday.
I don't know. I mean, he came across as a giant ass.
He did, but didn't this? Look, I hate him too, but I mean, he set that up perfect for him. Furthermore on that, though, I'll tell you, I know a lot of people are kind of hating on Lane for doing that. Man, I hated, y'all talked about this before, how Houston Nutt always looked at Ole Miss like they were just going to try to get to our 8 wins a year. That's what we're capable of. There's a piece of me that's like, you know what? Put it out there. Sometimes you fall on your face, but put it out there. Go for it. Shoot your shot. And that's what I feel like Lane does over and over.
I mean, he
This
thought
is
he
just
was
gonna
going to win the
happen
football
sometime.
game, and he was setting everything up to maximize that as good as humanly possible. What is it?
Absolutely. I don't know, Neal, if you saw my comment when you hung up, but I'm going to go join here in a minute.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I assume you did that because you saw my comment. If not, I'm joining anyway.
All right.
Y'all have a good night, boys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We'll, I think probably should stop there because the same people are trying to call over and over and over. Thanks to Alan for the super chat. Says looking forward to next week. She'll learn a lot about both teams. I agree. Thanks to Dax. He said good therapy shouldn't be free. I think we provided some therapy. A handful of people are mad at us, but
it's going to be all right.
We're okay. Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. Says y'all great. A lot of golf left. It's true. Still a lot of golf season.
Yep.
You going to try to play tomorrow?
No.
No.
I'm playing the Blue Delta thing on Friday. I probably should hit a golf ball before then. But yeah, that's the next time I know for sure I'm playing.
We actually just missed a call from the. You want to try one more? Give it a shot. I don't know. We'll see who this is. Hey, who do we have?
Hey guys, this is Tim in Dallas.
Hey, Tim. What's up?
Hey, you know what? I think you guys are dead on. I think 8-4, 9-3 still on the table.
Sure.
You know, one of the questions or one of the comments I had about Texas and Texas A&M, they spend money like drunken sailors. And I've got a friend out here who actually is a Mississippi State fan, and we actually think that maybe Texas high school football recruits are overrated.
Well, I will tell you this, that I've talked to some people about Texas football recruits, and this is interesting, is because the level of high school play in Texas is as high as it is, that there's not as much upside on those guys, that they've kind of maxed out. That you get what you get. There's not a lot of development that can be done.
Well, the other thing I see also, Neal, is that a lot of times the best athletes are obviously like quarterbacks, wide receivers. You just don't see the guys in the trenches like you see from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. The line play, the defensive line. And in Texas, I just don't see it, as like I do in the South, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's what people say, that you can take players from other states that, they've gotten some development, but there's still a lot of development to be had. But as opposed to some of the kids from Texas and some of the like 5A and 6A schools in Georgia where they've been playing at a really high level for a long time, that you're getting what you get. So if you get a good player, he's going to be a good player, but it's going to be hard to make him a great player.
Absolutely. Well, I love the coverage. Thank you guys so much, and howdy toddy.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, our people are still trying, so we'll just let that be. Yeah, they said Ben says Chase really did not want to try another call.
Oh, I'm good. I'm hanging out. I can hear without the headset on.
Yeah.
I don't need the headset to hear.
Yeah.
So I'm hanging out.
All right, we'll stop it there. I always feel bad, and then a number pops up that's a different number. I'll give you one final one. This is it. Who do we have?
Hey, this is Ole Miss Cub.
Hey, Ole Miss Cub, what's up?
Well, I won't keep y'all long. I know y'all are trying to get out of there. But basically, look, I'm a Saints fan, a Cubs fan, and an Ole Miss fan, so I've not had a lot of success in my sports tenure. And I just watch Bama, and I just have contempt in my heart for all of them. I just wonder if it ever gets boring, for them.
I mean,
I
will say when one of your teams finally does win, it's much more sweet and special.
I mean, I know that winning doesn't get old, but truly drama-free football is kind of boring. I mean, don't y'all think?
I think it is. I think it's boring. I think Alabama. I don't think what Alabama's done over the last 15 years is good for the sport. And I don't mean that as an insult to them. By the way, it's not their obligation is not to do something that is good for the sport. What they've done is good for them, and for their fans, it's good. And I'm sure that, like you said, maybe it gets a little boring, but probably not. But I don't think it's particularly good for the overall sport, and that is not a slap at them at all. But no, I don't think it's good for the sport. I think what makes college football fun, because the games themselves are not. I mean, watch college football all day Saturday, and then watch the NFL on Sunday, and you'll see the difference in the quality of quote football end quote. What makes college football fun is the unpredictability of it, and when the same teams win every year, you lose the unpredictability factor. Like Chase said a minute ago, we've had callers say it too. Actually, it was callers, not Chase. If you're a fan of Ole Miss or Kentucky or Auburn or Arkansas or Florida now, or is it even worth watching? I mean, when your team plays Alabama or when your team plays Georgia, I mean, is it even worth watching? Is it even the same sport? Like, look at it's really not like Arkansas could play Georgia 100 times, they would lose all 100. Now, is that because Arkansas sucks? No, I mean Arkansas was 4-0 going into the game today. They'd beaten Texas. They'd beaten Texas A&M. They don't suck. I mean, they would beat Connecticut. They would beat Vanderbilt, right?
Oh, 100%.
And yet they line up and play Georgia, and it's like you get your ass kicked. And frankly, if Kirby didn't like Sam, it would be 57-0.
Yeah, it's just not fair. It's not fun. It's like, here's a history analogy for you, Neal. I was just reading a book about the end of the Civil War. And, by the end of the Civil War, in the last few months, some of those battles, basically, most of the Union troops had repeating rifles against muzzleloaders. I mean, it's not fair. And so
who do you think? I mean, who do you think's going to win? Right.
Yeah, I mean, the outcome is determined, and that's not fun. And I just think about, what if Georgia and Bama were just nuked off the earth this year? How much fun would this be? Obviously, all these teams are fallible,
sure,
except for those two.
Yeah, no, it'd be a lot more fun. Look at Stanford, Oregon today. I mean, like in the Pac-12, you don't have the one dominant team. In the Big Ten, no one looks at Ohio State and goes, "Boy, I tell you, nobody can beat them."
It's why college football has survived because they're bowls. Everybody has different expectations. If there were no bowls and only a playoff, college football would not be what it is.
Here's a great example. Iowa State gets Penn State next week. Iowa gets Penn State next week.
Yeah.
Okay. I assume Penn State is winning tonight. They were
up 14-0.
Iowa played great at Maryland yesterday. The battle of unbeatens. The game's at Iowa City. It's going to be game day and all that stuff, right? Yet, does anyone watch Iowa or Penn State and go, "Oh yeah, they could beat Georgia"?
Zero.
No.
And so, what is the game? What is the game worth, really, when you look at it that way? I mean, the winner's in control of the Big Ten, and they get to maybe win the Big Ten or the right to play Ohio State to win the Big Ten, but Iowa's not winning the national championship. And so, I mean, if we're going to continue this all the way out, what is it that makes Alabama? And this is the indictment on college football, and I'm going to go there. The indictment on college football is this: we all know why Alabama and Georgia are so good.
Yep.
And yet, no one's done anything about it. No one's even tried to do anything about it. Iowa can't recruit like that. Penn State, to its everlasting credit, can't recruit like that. And James Franklin's a hell of a coach. I mean, Penn State, Iowa will be a very entertaining football game if you just enjoy football. But neither one of those teams have a chance in hell against Alabama or Georgia.
No, and it's just funny to watch, like, Danielson and these people. And look, I know that they can't discuss this stuff on national TV.
They would lose their jobs before
they're being coached up, and Coach Saban, he's such a good coach with these young players. Like, come on.
But look, in fairness to Gary Danielson, he's got a family to feed too, and so if he says, hey, well, here's what's really happening, he doesn't even finish the broadcast.
Exactly.
So when people do that, I'm like, okay, well, I would. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't say jack. I mean, so it's what I'm saying right now is, and I'm saying nothing is fairly controversial, but it's what's wrong with the sport. I mean, I like the sport. I cover the sport. I've made a living off the sport. I enjoy the sport. We'll preview Ole Miss Arkansas all week next week, and then after that, we'll preview Ole Miss Tennessee all week next week. But the truth is, we know where the SEC's going. Florida can't beat Georgia. Nobody in the West can beat Alabama. We know who's going to play. And they're going to play a fairly meaningless SEC championship game because they're both going to the playoff.
Yep. It's just not fun. So anyway, thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks,
thank you. Okay. We'll end on a down note. It's a good point, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that Big Ten game is going to be a great game. And the winner of that Big Ten game is going to be 6-0 and ranked third in the country.
Yeah.
Because Oregon lost, so Iowa's going to move up. Penn State's going to move up. It's going to be a huge game, quote, huge game, yet no one looks at those teams and goes, oh, they could win.
The Big Ten title is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in a normal year, the Big Ten title, they go out to Rose Bowl and they play. This year, they won't even go to the Rose Bowl. They'll go to Miami or something and get
Have a
smoked.
good time in Tempe.
And get smoked by Georgia.
Yeah.
All right, so Lydia wants to know who wins Iowa Penn State. I actually think Iowa's going to beat Penn State.
Yeah, I do too.
At home.
Yeah, I do too.
Iowa's really good. I'm starting to figure it out on offense. Mississippi State leads Texas A&M 24-19, and State is driving. They're inside the 15. Incomplete pass there on 1st and 10. So Ole Miss and Arkansas next week in Oxford. It's going to be an 11 a.m. kick, so we'll be with you after that game. So probably about, 2:30, 3 o'clock?
That's correct.
We'll watch the Alabama-Texas A&M blowout. No, actually, it'll be the Auburn-Georgia game.
Yes, that blowout.
Yeah, that blowout. That will absolutely be a blowout, too. Thanks for joining us. Again, Alabama wins 42-21. Thanks to Ben. He says for a shakaroni on behalf and in honor of Urban. Yeah, I bet Urban's getting him a shakaroni tonight. It's a long night for Urban Meyer. Bad night. Thanks for making us a part of your week. We appreciate it. We'll be back Monday with the Oxford Exxon podcast and another full week of coverage here at rebelgrove.com and MPW Digital for Chase. I'm Neal. Take care. Bye.